Last time on Repairing History Together.
Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Oh, it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
It's time to take a stand and repair our history. Thomas Sowell has shown us the way. It's time to start winning reality. We've been divided for far too long. It's time to come together and be strong. We can learn from our mistakes and make a brighter future for everyone. We have the power to make a change. All it takes is courage and faith. So let's stand up for what's right and make history together.
This is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Greetings, winners, and hope you are living well. Welcome to Repairing History Together with myself and Gary Lamb. How y'all doing this evening? Say hey to all the VIPs in the front row. We got Talking Trash to Truths, Cool Gamer, Jacob Peeps. How y'all doing? Thank you for being here at the start of the show. And everybody else that's out there that I don't see in the comments. Gary, how's it going, man? How you doing?
What up, winning? How you doing? How you doing, Shelly? How you doing, love? I hope you're doing all right. I hope you're feeling better. What's going on, everybody in the chizat?
All right, man. Hey, we gotta have a kind of a quick show tonight. We got lots of things going on. We do have some guests we're gonna bring in right now, and it seems like Gary's got a special intro for him. So Gary, bring him on in.
Now all the way live from New York City, Mr. Bismarck, Greta, I can get busy.
Can I kick it?
Yes, you can.
You know that I can do it with the mic in my hand.
Yeah.
You remember that? Oh, one, two, yo, that is that. Tick-tock, tick-tock, do the die. No matter what I say, they always come on fire. The ladies in here, they're like fruit in a cup. I'm in love. I'm all shook up.
Yo, Dougie Fresh, Mellow, my man.
All right, welcome, WallzP and 360 Smooth.
What's up, y'all?
What's going on? Salutations, everybody.
You know, I'm gonna have to say this. I look
to
forward to your damn intros. I ain't going front because you don't know what the hell he gonna bring up this evening. He just brings some new shit every time. I love it.
Man, great to have you back.
It was pretty dope, though. It was pretty dope. It's definitely a pleasure being on. It's definitely a pleasure being on.
And 360 Smooth, great to meet you, man. Great to meet you. I'm happy you're joining us this evening.
It's a pleasure to be here with you all as well.
Yep. And shout out, Smooth. I know I ain't say what's up to you, so what's going
That's
on,
all
brother?
good, brother. I'm good, bro. How you doing?
All right. Not too bad. Not too bad.
So you're on.
360, man. Tell everybody about yourself, man.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm a 44-year-old New Orleanian, and I bring the smoke primarily on TikTok and Facebook. I typically engage a lot of MGTOW, Red Pill, and to a certain extent, even Passport Bro commentary. It's mainly in the same vein of having an aim of reparation within the Black community, trying to restore relations between Black men and Black women, to reaffirm the fact that it's not so much that Black men don't love Black women or don't want to engage in their life, engage in the community. It's not that at all. It's just that there's an unfortunate this is the unfortunate chain of events that we're kind of seeing play themselves out, stemming from 1970s pro-feminism and Black women's participation in it that's kind of playing itself out right now. But Black men definitely still are very much interested in the Black community and promoting the prosperity of the Black community and still continuing to love our Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Amen on that.
Yeah, man. Sounds good stuff. All right, man. So, Walls, people you've been on before, but let everybody know about Matters of Opinion.
Salutations, everybody. So, Matter of Opinion, it's a debate show where we tackle hard-pressed issues, whether it's race-related, maybe politics, current news, relationships, things of that nature. We like to tackle those hard conversations because the way I look at it, not speaking about them and shying away from them does absolutely nothing. And I don't like when people say, hey, why'd you bring race into it? Why'd you bring politics into it? Because at the end of the day, it has to be spoken about for you to come to a resolution. Name me one treaty, one peace offering, or anything dating back to history that a resolution occurred without them talking about the problem. So, a Matter of Opinion, we tackle them things head on, have different perspectives, and try and find solutions so that we could move forward with a better society and a better community.
Absolutely. You guys sure do, man. I really enjoy your show, and enjoy yourself and Erica Keys and what you have to say. Now you're one of my favorites, man. And you actually say a lot of good things. And I've carried over some of those things that you say. So, we all got to help support Matters of Opinion and get them up there and going. They're kind of a new channel, but we got to, if you haven't, please get over there and subscribe to them. Subscribe to 360 Smooth. And let's give them some watch hours. I know that a lot of times you're streaming with other people, but give them the watch hours and help them get their channel up and raise those voices up. Now, Gary, I see you over there on mute. You ready for me? We already know you're a badass, man. We know all about you because you're here every week preparing history with me together.
I am not a badass. I just learned how to do stuff a little bit better than I did yesterday.
He's so humble, man, and
that's not true. I'm not humble as hell at all. That was bullshit. I wanted to make me feel a little bit better about my life. You know what I mean?
I do, man. Yeah, we all do.
The fake humility. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I can attest to that. He is very pretty much not humble.
I'm not humble at all. Trust me. I try to be though.
But you know what?
Him and other people have been trying to help him out.
You need the ego though to help you reach that next plateau. So I can't be mad at that. You can't be mad.
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And doggone it, people like me.
So Jesse Smooth sent me a few things.
Jesus, I missed those from SNL. God.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We have fun here, man. We have fun here.
Yeah.
Walk us into tonight's first topic, Gary.
Tonight's first topic? Well, I believe we're going to be discussing why are Black people so emotional, which is why I decided to bring in some reinforcements, because we done had conversations to the degree where I just hung up on your freaking ass because I couldn't handle it no more. So I said, let me go ahead and grab up a couple other people that might be able to stomach your rhetoric. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. Why are Black people seemingly so emotional? When it comes
the hang up kind of proved it, didn't it? All right.
Well, absolutely. I'm not arguing with you about being emotional.
Well,
I did say Bobby. I did say later before I hung up, so it wasn't like I just said click. You know what I mean? You know how hard it is to hang up on Discord? It's impossible.
Come back.
You know what I'm saying? You break your damn keyboard trying to hang up. Like fuck it. Boom. Like all right, now I need a new keyboard. Damn it! You cost me $20. You know, whatever.
Right.
Wow. But if y'all want, I could if that's the subject matter for the evening to start it off, I mean, I could take the lead and then 360 Smooth, you could answer the question also on your end.
That's fine with me, brother. I was kind of looking forward to that.
All right, cool. All right. So Why are Black folks so emotional? It all stems from Black people feel like the world is against them, and even our own community has that crab in the bucket mentality, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like everybody on the outside do not really give a damn. Nobody cares. Black people, like Black men especially, but Blacks in general, have like the biggest stigmatism around them. We're the ones that's under the biggest microscope in society. Like I was telling Gary, Pookie and Ray Ray can get caught with, um, some, like, I guess some kilos of, drugs or whatever. Like, let's just say 4 bricks. They'll be plastered over the news. But yet, when one of the biggest biker gangs in America that was selling drugs and guns, that was like rival to, the cartels of that,
Yep.
things of that nature, like that level, you don't hear anything about it. So Black people, we feel like we're always under a microscope, and anything we do is exacerbated. Like it's kind of frustrating. And even past traumas that happened to us, with slavery, so to speak, it's the narrative change with it, where it's like, oh well, you haven't been a slave, or that happened, X amount of years ago. Slavery could have been beneficial to, to Blacks. Not all slave owners
That part.
not all slave owners were mean to their slaves. There were Black people that was owning slaves. But why can we not hear the narrative of, if some Black people own slaves, those Black people that own slaves were trying to rescue those Blacks from persecution, and just carrying the illusion that they were hard pressed on those slaves. You get what I'm saying? So it's like everything will be spoken to minimize the persecution that Blacks go through. But we don't hear this about other communities. Prime example, well, I'll say the small hats, right? After the Holocaust happened, they were, set free. From there, at that point, pretty much they can blend in with society. And it's well documented that during the Holocaust, you had small hats that literally was hiding in plain sight. They just didn't wear their yarmulkes, stuff like that, or whatever, and was hiding in plain sight. I can't do that. We can't do that. And when slavery ended, because let's be real, we all say slavery was going on everywhere around the world and everything like that. That is very true. But when slavery ended in America, it was here, go out, do what you got to do, but you're not going to have any resources. You can only stay in your community. And if you even look at us the wrong way, we can kill you on sight with no problem. So it's like, are you really free? So these are the things that like Blacks go through, look at, and then let's not even talk about what is it? It's called post-slavery. I forgot the term for it, but it's pretty much all the stress and everything that happened post-slavery. And I understand by now we should be educated and kind of like, look past slavery, and we should be able to dig ourselves out of that hole of having that the effects mentally from slavery. But is it really that simple? And the reason why I say, is it really that simple? I did a video on this. Why are Black people so violent? Right? If you grew up on a plantation during slavery, right, and everything you did wrong, you were reprimanded with violence. any little mess up, you was reprimanded with violence. That's all you know. Because if I have a child and any little thing he does, I beat him. I beat him for any little thing. I beat him. I beat him. I beat him. I beat him. When he gets older, when it comes to solving problems, how do you think he's going to solve it? He's going to solve it with violence because that's all he knows how to solve it. So if these are what past generations was going through, slavery ended, right? You don't have no therapist you could go to because you weren't educated enough to be a therapist because you wasn't entitled to have education. So you couldn't go to no therapist, you couldn't go to anybody to speak out your frustration. So what happens with your frustration? It happens at home. You take it out on your spouse. The spouses are taking it out on each other. What do the kids do? They grow up seeing that. So what do? They start acting out through violence. That's how they know how to get their emotions out of there. So if it goes generation to generation to generation to generation, what do you expect is going to happen when it's time to solve issues? And I understand we should evolve from that, but at the end of the day, like, it's still kind of innate inside of you because that's pretty much what you knew. You don't know your true history. You don't know your identity as a person. And again, Black people have these issues and it's just always undermined and nobody care whatsoever. And whenever we do try to speak our mind on things, we're met with yeah, but, or, well, XYZ. Like, it's so crazy that there was a study done, right? And if y'all want me to pull up the video, I can. There was a study that was done where you had educated white men, no criminal records. They put on they filled out applications, put their credentials. I believe they got about like 30 something callbacks from the jobs. Then they had white men or white folks that had criminal records and they put those credentials on the job application. They got about 17, 18% callback. Then they had same Black men that had no records, educated in the whole nine, put it on the application. They got about a 15% callback. And the ones with the criminal records and felonies, it was even lower than that. So you're telling me an educated Black individual fill out an application, but my counterpart that literally has a felony or a record has the opportunity to get the job before me. Now, the reason why Blacks are so angry when speaking on these matters and in society and everything like that is because, again, people don't care about it, or they'll tell them it's just an illusion. That's not real. The numbers aren't real. I've never experienced that. I've never seen that around me. Well, if you've never seen it around you, does that mean that if you don't know our victim, a grape victim, that there's no grape victims in the world? Does that mean that if you don't know any child that was, you know where I'm going with this? If you never met a child that was, does that mean that it do not exist? Absolutely, it exists. So these are things that Black folks go through. And at the same time, when you're out in society, you got to keep a smile so that you don't look, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't look intimidating.
Dangerous. Yeah.
You don't look dangerous to society. You got to put up a smile. You got to put your best foot forward. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be lumped in with what you see on social media, what you see on the news, what they're pumping out there. So that's just my opening soliloquy. Smooth, the floor is yours.
Okay, my brother. Well, and just for posterity, just so I'm clear and everybody else is clear. So the question is, why is it that black people seem to be so emotional?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So with respect to that question, unfortunately, you kind of have to ask another question from the very beginning. Who's asking? Because if you're saying it's from the perspective of another black person, oh, well, there's a whole gambit of different reasons we can easily get into that are primarily focus on culture and social conditioning, social programming, and to a certain extent, even I believe what you were trying to look for was uh, post-slavery stress disorder or
Yes,
post.
yes, yes, yes. That's what it was. Exactly.
So all
Yes.
these carryovers of those traumatic experiences being passed down generationally and not necessarily being addressed in the most healthy ways, while simultaneously receiving additional continuous attacks and reinforcements throughout this entire time. Well, yeah, within our community as a culture, as a people, you're going to have all these different factors that contribute to a certain set of behaviors. And that's just within our community. That's not even talking about outside of our community. If you talk about people who are not black asking that same question, well, why is it that black people are just so, why do they seem so emotional? Well, it goes right back to our history and the power structure that has literally shaped this country. It was the corporations and our own government that upheld slavery as an institution. It also upheld all of the various traumas our people specifically were meant to continue to suffer even post slavery, going well into Jim Crow and sharecropping above and beyond. So you have this institution, if you will, all which weaponized various forms of propaganda, such as print, and now it's expanding into print media, film, television, radio, and internet. Let's not deny it. And
Yep.
until recently, black folks as a collective were never in a seat of control of those different media streams. So you've had this continuous stream of anti-black male and anti-black female propaganda having been pumped into the masses ever since slavery. So that in itself has planted all of these various seeds that somehow black people are other than so many other people. So, and within our community, that's where we've seen the most destructive manifestations of all that propaganda, particularly our music, which especially gangster rap and now stock culture music and this this music that shifted from drug selling to drug usage.
Smooth.
I mean, it just got
Yep.
worse and
Nailing
worse
it,
and
dude.
worse as it evolved, and God knows what's, huh?
Smooth. Can I hold that thought? Can I interject too, just on that with the music?
No,
Mhm.
we didn't interrupt you.
No. I just wanted
No,
to like.
he's on. Yo, let this man cook.
All
He
right.
killing it.
Yeah,
All right.
Let him
Go
do
No,
what he
ahead.
do.
that's okay. It's actually okay because
Because
I'm rolling with you guys.
what I was gonna say was gonna attribute to what he's saying as far as the music thing. With the music thing, it's people behind it that was pushing it, where you had black folks that wanted to put positive music and stuff, and they were told, no, this is not what we want. We want you to pump violence and all of these things. That's all I was
Perfect
gonna say.
example. Diggable planets. Perfect example.
Yes. Yep. I agree.
Another example, MC Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
It was only until the the music execs got to Hammer and impressed upon him that his form of rap was going to suffer in the face of the rising gangster rap artists such as NWA. That's when he made that critical failure of his humps and the bumps, which
Mm-hmm.
to a certain extent was actually quite entertaining. And if you compare it against some of the music that's here today, even his flawed version of it still fits in quite well.
Mm-hmm.
It was, but what messed him up was he went from trying to be the sex symbol in the first iteration of it, where he had the Speedo, and then he tried to go
Yeah.
full on gangster with the sock hat and everything in the remix of it.
The bandana and all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it went to. That's where MC Hammer jumped the shark. But it was imagery just like that. But we can go back even further to the black exploitation movies of the late 60s, early 70s. And you know, God rest his soul, Richard Roundtree, who just recently passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He gave us Shaft. You know, movies like Shaft, movies like Superfly, all those types of movies perpetuated this imagery of black men being pimps, thieves, thugs. It perpetuated the narrative of our women being prostitutes or women of low self-esteem. We had all this imagery, our the overly sexualized renditions of our women, such as the Pam Griers, who's actually quite nice in person. But we had all these different imagery just kind of pumped into our community, where it was only the most negative of the negative stereotypes that were continuously force-fed to us, to where not only did we, to a certain extent, start believing that that was part of our identity, but that was what was showcased to the world, so that the world would begin to identify those different themes with who and what we are. That's why you didn't see any more Cosby shows come on after Bill Cosby's actual sitcom. You didn't see anything more like that. The closest thing we got to that might have been Malcolm in the Middle on UPN with Malcolm Jamal Warner and Eddie Griffin.
Yeah,
that was the closest thing. And even if you look into the history of that show, you will see exactly what kind of bum deal they got, how they got screwed out of syndication because the powers that be did not like them bucking against those negative stereotypes and promoting positive stereotypes, that they cut their show short, I want to say maybe a season and a half, to make sure that they would not make that 100 episode mark. So they could not continue getting paid. So it was different things like that the media system in itself has did throughout all that time and is still doing right now. For example, you cannot tell me that Sexy Red is a sexy woman.
Nope.
And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to body shame the woman, but you're not going to put Sexy Red up against a Megan Thee Stallion and tell me that this woman is just as attractive as her. You're not going to put up against a Nicki Minaj or Rihanna or Beyonce and tell me that this woman is truly sexy. No, I'm sorry. Even after the horrible sex tape release. But I digress. Overall, human beings are emotional creatures. And if you're going to talk about how is it that we seem so emotional, then you also have to ask, well, exactly what emotions are we looking at? Are you looking at happiness, rage, sadness? What? There's a spectrum of emotions. And along with that propaganda, only certain emotions have been promoted in the media system. Again, television, film, radio, internet, what have you. It's only been the most negative of the negative. You don't see the promotion of our prideful acts. There's at least about 3 or 4, well, maybe more than that. I say maybe about 8 kids over the last 15 or so years who have scored scholastically and demonstrated their IQ to be at or exceeding that of Einstein. But we don't hear about that. There are so many of our young black girls who are winning hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships every year. We don't hear about that kind of thing. Some of our young brothers winning thousands of dollars worth of scholarships. We don't hear about that. You don't hear about the young black men and the young black women who are expanding into the business world. We may hear about some of these Gen X Black women doing quite well, which is great for them, but unfortunately has the negative side effect of even pulling them further into various forms of pro-feminist and overall misandrist types of ideology and rhetoric. So that kind of negatively impacts them in that way. But there's so many wonderful things that Black people have been doing or continuing to do. I mean, hell, I just learned today that if not for a Black man having invented it, we would not have the television remote control.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different inventions, so many different contributions that Black people have made to this society, but those things never get their time in the spotlight. Or if they do get their time in the spotlight, it's as quick as how Roots used to be during Black History Month. And now they don't even show that anymore. You know, so there's been a continuous stream to either suppress or eliminate the spread of positive Black propaganda, if you will, or even not even necessarily propaganda, but exposition, just showing the world what it is that we as a people have contributed, contribute now, and even intend to contribute. All of that has been somewhat suppressed. Which brings me to the last part. When we ask this question, why is it that Black people seem so emotional? Well, then the automatic counter to that should be, if we're so emotional, why is everybody else seemingly so emotionless?
Ooh, talk on it.
Because we're all presumably facing the same issues. If you're talking about Black Americans, well, Black Americans aren't the only poor folk in this country. We're not the only working poor folk in this country. We're not even the only middle class people in this country. But if you want to talk about socioeconomic issues that primarily focus on Black people in contrast to non-Black people, well, then you also have to look at how this country has responded to and inhibited the progress of Black folks versus all these other non-Black and non-Black adjacent, maybe I might want to say. And I think y'all might know what I'm talking about when I say that, non-Black adjacent. These other races of people who live in this country, or ethnicities who live in this country, who may get it bad, but just don't get it quite as bad as us, or didn't quite get it as bad as us. To give a further example of it, go into any of your Black neighborhoods and look at the people who are primarily running the businesses. I would wager that you would only find maybe a handful of steady businesses that have been in existence more than 15 or 20 years that actually have Black ownership. The overwhelming majority of those shops tend to be some form of Asian, East Indian, Middle Eastern, or if not Caucasian altogether. This is what we see. And if you look at those non-Caucasian groups, yeah, they may have gotten a raw deal in this country too, but some of them just didn't get as raw a deal as we got. And that's one of those things that this country, for all of its supposed inclusiveness and in spite of all of its supposed forward thinking and left-wing ideology, for all this progressive nonsense and bullshit that they boast and brag about, how liberal they are now. That's one of those things they never really want to admit en masse. It's always brushed under the rug, and Black folks are continuously giving this response that's kind of aching to just get over it. Yeah, you people were enslaved, but you know what? That was such a long time ago.
You wasn't that.
You know, that was my forefather. Why should I be held accountable for the sins of my forefathers? I wasn't even born. Well, you know what, MFer? You might not have been born back then, but guess what? You and your family are still reaping the benefits of it. Even if you don't necessarily have the knowledge, experience, or inheritance to truly and actively engage in it to the best of your ability, it doesn't mean that it's not still there. Because the same way they had poor white folks back then. We still have poor white folks now. The same way some rich white folks in the past may have come to this country and squandered whatever wealth or squandered or gambled away, paid off, lost their money to various women, whatever the excuse is. The same type of people who lost their money back then are the same people who lose their money now. But the one thing that they did not lose was the complexion of their skin. And they did not lose the fact that we still live in a country, despite how people engage in it, a country that is still geared towards giving favor to primarily Caucasian people or those who are reasonably adjacent to them.
I just wanted to add another point to what you said too. Is even though there was poor white people back then and now, the difference is they were never thought of as less than human.
Boom.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
But what I'm saying is it was literally written into policy.
Mm-hmm.
Policy isn't people. Policy is government. But I disagree with that.
But the
Rednecks,
people
white,
carried it out. See, this is the thing.
definitely-
Wait. You say that
I
all
didn't
the time.
I didn't get my statement out, man.
Yeah.
What I was saying is that they were looked down on and denied jobs and denied home ownership and denied property in the same way because of their class. And that's kind of like where I go with this. It's like it's a classism kind of thing, because there is. And I'll let you jump in here, Gary, with what you want to say. I don't want to get too far down the road on it, but I'm just saying I feel like that's there's a classism thing going on here more than a color thing going on here.
Well, you know what? It's interesting that you say that.
Can I chime in? Can I chime in and then you just hold that?
All right. All right. Well, hold up. Let me take this one this time because
go ahead. All right, go ahead.
Because it's interesting that he said he feels this is about classism. Oh no, sir. We're not even getting to feelings. We are talking about objective fact, reality, what has actually happened. Yes, have white folks been racist against other white folks? Oh for they've done that for hundreds of years. If you want to go back to the Anglos, the Saxons, if you for giggles, you can go on Netflix and watch The Last Kingdom and see the Danes against the British. So yeah, white folks have always been. They've had a history of being racist against other white folks. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a completely different type of manifestation of racism in this country. And that's the difference.
I think it's a human nature that there's some, I wouldn't call it racist. I'd call it tribalist, right? Because you have the same thing going on in Africa. That's how
tribalism based on what though?
Well, tribalism based on your tribe, where you're from, your group, your family, your nation, if you will.
But when you have black folks versus white folks, white folks didn't know what particular tribes black folks come from, and never necessarily cared. They didn't. When they saw black folks, they didn't see a tribe; they saw black folk.
No, I'm talking about, and I agree with you on that, and I have said that on this show many times that I feel like one of the things the black community lost during all the slavery in the United States was they lost their home identity, right? Because what happened was in Africa, Africans enslaved Africans and then sold them out, right?
I love that.
Either got sold out or got captured and just brought over here.
Right.
I love that talking point. You know why I love that talking point is because it's, hey, this was going on in Africa, right? But Africa was expanding like their territory and war broke out. So when war broke out, you at least had a fighting chance to decide if I'm going to lose or I'm going to win. Now, if I lose, of course, the losing party gets enslaved. But notice the key word. This happened in Africa. So they mind their business and stayed amongst themselves fighting. They didn't go on ships to other countries, sail for weeks and months and years to go conquer another territory. Case in point. Who Africans did?
No, but they did create the trade, and that trade was a market. And one of the richest people ever lived was a black man, a king, I guess, that was the head of the slave trade. The black
They
one of the
sold
richest
their
person in
enemies,
history.
dude. Like
They sold
Okay.
their
they sold
enemies.
their
They sold
enemies. They
their
sold people
enemies.
that they had to.
But
But then,
like,
then
they
it
was
became a
just-
profit thing, and
but-
they would go out and they would just conquer
but
tribes
gentlemen,
just to get
the biggest hole in the whole tribalism argument is if you're going to look at the ethnic history of these different people. Sure, you can say that at some point in American history, the English was still at the throats of the Irish, the Polish, various forms of Russians. You know that's we learned that kind of stuff back then in the 80s when that cartoon American Tail came out. We saw how racist certain white folks were with other white folks. So nobody's disputing that. And yes, to a certain extent, that would be classism based off of which is still kind of which was always still interpreted somewhat of the same ethnic phenotype, if you will. You know, they were all white folks. It might have been different versions of white folks, but still they were still considered white folks. So when they intermarried with each other, well, their whiteness was never truly called into question. An Irishman can marry a Spaniard. A Frenchman can marry a Briton, and you still had a white person. And this government of this newly found country still protected that and preserved that. Whereas when it came to these enslaved Africans and Native Americans, or the combination of the two, or the indigenous African people who were already here,
one thing at WallzP,
they just saw black. They just saw color.
No, hold on. Two things on that. One, as far as the Constitution went, the word black was never used. It was slave. And as far as slavery went, right? And two,
who was considered slave?
He pointed out that and I bring this up all the time, Walls. You pointed out that there was no such thing as whiteness until this country and until this whole idea of whiteness and this melting pot started. That there wasn't, like, worldwide. It was just you were the Italians, you were the French, you were the Swedish, whatever you were, right? You had your country name behind you, right? It was no white people out back in the day. It was just what country were you from? What language did you speak?
So who was considered slave?
Wait.
Yeah.
I gotta beg to differ.
Who was considered slave? That's your answer right there. Who was considered
anybody
slave?
who was people who were being treated as property.
Okay. I have to beg to differ that the only way slavery came into play amongst Europeans was through the slave trade. That is a farce. The reason why I say that is a farce is because my heritage country, which is Haiti, the French literally came there and enslaved the people. They literally came there and enslaved Haiti because, as it was called at that time, San Domingo was very rich and was a rich island, the richest island. That's what kept the French as a superpower. Now, when they started bringing more slaves over there, you can say they started bringing slaves there, but they clearly went there and enslaved those people and took over it. And this is how you know America was like deep rooted as far, because America was the last country to like really like abolish slavery, so to speak, because other places all throughout the world started abolishing slavery, but America fought tooth and nails to keep slavery. Why? Because when Haiti gained its independence from the French, Thomas Jefferson was pissed about it because he was scared that the Haitians gaining their independence was going to spread to America, where slaves were going to rise up and fight for their independence. He didn't even acknowledge Haiti as an independent country till later down the line. And this is why I say Haiti is in the situation that it's in now, is because they make an example out of Haiti for showing we can rise up and not be slaves. They made an example to say, you better not act up because you're going to be like this country that we stripped all their resources, that we made sure nobody do any kind of trades with them or anything. Why do you think Mexicans and everybody else can come here and they got to go through proper channels? They sit in a cell for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe get part citizenship, whatever the case may be. But if a Haitian come here, like the Haitians that popped up in Texas, what did they do? Within 24 hours to 78 hours, guess where they was? They were shipped right back to Haiti. So we can't have this narrative trying to say like, well, slavery only happened through the slave trade. America fought tooth and nails to keep slavery. Hell, they had a whole war. And then the president at the time of the war.
Well, that whole war wasn't about slavery, though.
Well,
I mean, to be fair,
yes,
that wasn't
but
about slavery. And to be fair,
it
a
wasn't.
lot of
But
white people died to stop that. If you want to call it all about slavery, died to stop slavery, right? To end it. Only 1%, the elitists, the very elite wealthy, owned the slaves, right? So the average white person didn't own slaves. And that's where a lot of the argument comes from. Is like, you know, there's a conflation between white people and the government, the elitists of the time.
But see,
And
this is you know, respectfully, this is where a lot of non-black folks make the worst possible argument that they can possibly make. And you, sir, just made the worst argument a non-black person could possibly make. Because what you're defending, because you take the time to try to defend those who are not part of the elite, while seemingly being permissive of the system, while seemingly being permissive of the. Let's see, I'm trying to get it out.
Yeah, keep in mind you cut me off, like, and you have a real hard time to cutting yourself off when you want a point.
Hold on, dude. You cut me off when I was trying to speak, and then I said you can go back next, and then two other people.
And you're doing the exact same thing, and I am challenging you that you're doing the exact same thing to 360. Are you not?
Go ahead, 360, man. Sorry, go ahead.
What I'm saying is, you seem to be taking that position while seemingly, and I don't know if it's your intent to do so or not. I don't even know if you're aware that you're even doing it, but you're seemingly being permissive of the existence of the social construct or institution, rather, that would have permitted slavery in the first place. Because when it comes to the poor whites, it's not that if they're given a choice whether to remain poor or have slaves, it's not like they would have said, oh, no slaves for me. No. You bet your bottom dollar. Many of them wish they could have participated in the institution of slavery. They just didn't have the money. And the reason why so many of them didn't have the money is because they were descendants of the original settlers here, who our history tells us they were primarily the dregs of Europe. They were Europe's undesirables, the criminals, the rapists, the burglars, the murderers. They were sent here as part of their prison release. Either stay in a prison in Europe or come to the New World. That was their option. So these people weren't necessarily. And then in addition to that, following them, you had the actual colonizers, those who just came to the New World to just make a new life for whatever reason. But we can't just ignore that. Starting out, that's who was here. That's who came here first.
Again, I don't know that. I don't know that that's the complete history there. I mean, that may be part of it, but I know that a lot of people went to escape tyranny, man. And that's the point that I'm trying to make here, is that there's been this, and this is probably the part that you don't know about me yet, is that that there's always been this elite global ruling class over us. There's always been these rulers over us, right? That have divided the people and kept people down, all people of all colors. So when I bring this up, I'm saying that it's those type of people that we need to come together against. And we have to stop the racism and the division in our country in order to do that, because by dividing us, they always win. And if we're still hanging on to things, or we're trying to nitpick the little this and that's, we're never going to get to a point where we can actually come together as people and just love each other.
That's sometimes the devil is in the details. Right there, you did it again.
But
You
here's
say
the
that.
thing, though. Here's the thing. Winning, the majority hardworking black person don't hold the history against white folks. Like, we know it exists, but we don't let it stop us from doing what we got to do. How do I know? Hell, the president of the NAACP at one point was a white person. Black people are the most forgiving people. Where the problem comes into play is people want to downplay it and find excuses or try and make comparisons and be like, oh, well, what about XYZ? And they're acting like systematically there's not things in place that are meant to hold black people back. Like, just look at something simple as the housing market. If I go to sell my home, I'm gonna get lowballed. But if I tell my white buddy to come in here and act like he lives in here, it's gonna be doubled or tripled, and that's documented. But
Okay,
if you're not in that realm or experience these minor hiccups that black people go through, how are you gonna know? And guess what? You know how the whistle was blown? Through word of mouth, through somebody happening to hear, what their white counterpart is going through, like in the same area as far as like selling, their home, whatever. So it's not like these things are oblivious, but you happen to run into them and you're like, yo, it's really like I really got extra hurdles in front of me.
How about how slavery still existed well into the 1980s?
It still exists today in different forms. I mean,
I'm talking about in this country. I'm not talking about over there. I'm talking about outright plantation slavery of black folks existed in this country well into the 1980s. Oh,
well,
yes.
nothing happens overnight, I'm sure. Until 1980?
Overnight? 1980. 1980, sir.
Where
right there in Alabama.
In 1980? In
Yes.
Alabama, there were slaves?
Yes.
I've never heard of that.
If I
haven't heard of that, I have to look into it. I don't talk.
That might be a very soul stirring Google search there. But yeah, there was actually a plantation that was still in existence well into the 1980s. Well, I believe now the gentleman may be dead now, but it was like the last American black slave in a plantation right there in Alabama.
I got a tidbit for y'all. On November 8th, 5 states, which is Alabama, Louisiana, Oregon, Tennessee, and Vermont, are going to have a vote to try and ban slavery entirely. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? So literally,
the fact that it has to be voted on.
So literally, it's still legal in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states. So what does that tell you? And again, this conversation is not about dividing because, like I said, black people understand these dynamics. It's just the problem of when black people are venting, other people try to undermine it. And it comes off as if it's saying, oh, you're not going through much because this go the same way. And it's like, yeah, we may be going through the same thing, but we're playing on 2 different systems here. You're playing on freaking Nintendo 64. I'm playing on the PlayStation 5.
Let me put it another way. It is pointless to even entertain a conversation about joining hands in unison against the global elitists when those who want to take your hand don't want to recognize their position in this structure that we're trying to organize. So if you're going to tell me, presumably as a white man, that you want to build a bridge with me and then hopefully get to the point to where we're strategizing to take down the global elites, but you don't necessarily want to take advantage of the white privilege that you have and use it for the benefit of the cause, but you want to tell me that I'm just supposed to ignore the system that's still in place that you can still benefit from even after I've joined my forces with you and gained you whatever platform or whatever advancement that you were seeking. And then I have to be the one to be trusting, hoping that once you've gotten to where you want to get to, that you won't just slam that door, that once closed door back in my face once you've gotten what you've gotten. Well, that kind of puts me in a bad position now, doesn't it?
There's the paranoia built into the system right there.
Oh, no, it's not paranoia.
We can't have trust. We're not going to get.
It's not.
Yeah, it is. You're worried that
no, it's not paranoia.
Stab you in the back.
It is a failure. It is a failure on the part of the other individual. In this case, it would be your failure to truly empathize and humanize the situation and acknowledge exactly what I'm saying. Because it's not as if it is not as if you come from a history of trustworthiness in this sense. Not at least not in the collective sense. Because if you had that type of history of being trustworthy in the collective sense, it would not have taken 500 years for slavery to end in this country.
The slavery was a worldwide epidemic for centuries.
But we're not talking about the world. We're talking about the United States.
Every race has been part of slavery.
But we're talking about slavery within the United States of America, not the rest of the world. The rest of the world has nothing to do with what we're talking about right here and now.
Right here and now. Okay, to fix this problem here in this country so that we can do something about the bigger problems, right?
Winning. This is why.
Whoa, hold up. Okay. Hold the phone.
Yeah. So, like you're saying, to fix the problem here so that we can fix the bigger problems that are facing us, like what's happening.
Okay, I just had to check.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is what I was gonna say. The reason why, shoot, I just lost my damn train of thought. It'll come back.
That's what happened when certain words are not necessarily pronunciated in the best manner.
Oh, okay, I got it. The reason why the focus of slavery in America is so important to Black America, and they don't care about what happened out of the United States, is because Black America have nowhere to go. This is their home. So why the hell are they going to care about the slavery that happened in Africa and all these other places? They never lived there. They were here in America, and they understand this. Like they're feeling the suffering here, and it's not like they could just say, you know what? I'm packing my bags. I'm going back home. Where's home? Home is here. You know, it's kind of like I'm not gonna worry about the other kids, the neighbors' kids doing whatever. I'm gonna try and focus on my home and secure my structure here. I can't be worried about what's going on outside of my door.
But even that issue of looking at the bigger issues, what bigger issue to who?
Bigger issue to the world.
Your issues may not have the same level of priority as my issues. And again, this is why I come back to saying that it's a failing on the part of those who are part of the majority of this country to come to the minority and tell the minority members, oh yeah, you need to jump on board with tackling the same issues that I'm tackling. It's like, wait a minute. You have your issues, but guess what? I have those same issues and more. But you want me to ignore the other issues I have to only focus on the ones that directly benefit you. No, sir.
No. The root cause issues.
If you want this alliance, then there's certain concessions you're going to make on this. Otherwise, I'm going to fight my war the way I got to fight my war. You're going to fight your war against the elites the way you're going to fight it. And at the end of the day, we're just going to see whose way is going to be more productive.
Yeah, well, they're going to win because we're divided. And that's the bottom line. I'm talking about root cause issues. And root cause issues are the things that affect all of us, whether we know it or not. Right? It's the root cause issues of elitism and authoritarianism that have enslaved both of us in different ways. And you need to understand is white people didn't necessarily want to participate in slavery. All right.
But so many did anyway.
We've been grouped into it. No, we didn't. We're controlled just like anybody else. We're ruled over.
Controlled by who?
Way.
Wait.
Ruling class.
I can.
Who was the ruling class?
Can
the
I?
ruling
Can
class
I
is the king.
Comprised of who?
Can I interject here?
All tons of different people from all over
bullshit
in different countries. No, all different countries, there are the ruling class of people, the elitists, the wealthiest, the ones that rule above us, and you don't even see these people in and day out life, man. They live in a different society than us.
Can I interject? Okay. The point that Smooth made was saying, in order for us to have this fight, you have to, I'm paraphrasing, understand, like, pretty much accept your role in it, and like understand the plight that blacks go through, and use your tools so that we could take that fight to the elitists, right?
Okay. No, I'm down with that. Let's do it. Tell me what you need me to know, and tell me what you need me to do.
I just did.
Wait.
I literally just did.
Can
Okay,
I take this?
Actually make you trust me then?
Can I finish my point?
Yes, sir.
My
Go ahead.
point? The fact that having a conversation, it's always pushback for, well, the reason of that is this, and we was going through that, this, that, and the third, blah, blah,
There we
blah.
go.
It's like there's no acknowledging, like, there's no acknowledging of saying, like, yo, I understand we had problems, but it's proven you've went through and have more problems than I do. There's like no acknowledging of this, right? Now, if we're still divided on that aspect, and the lower class whites are not even acknowledging the simple fact of the hardships that black people go through, as much as they keep expressing it, and they keep getting pushback, what happens is, if any type of war or whatever the case may be from the elitists was to happen, who do you think they're going to reach out to get on their side? Me or my white counterpart? And this is the same. This is what happened in history after slavery. What the elitists said was, went to the lower and mid class white people and said, you know what, guys? Like the same thing that's going on, like how everybody's saying, yo, these immigrants are gonna come and take our jobs. That's what they used on middle class and lower class white people, which built that hatred toward blacks.
I agree.
Here's the thing. But here's the thing. If they would have band together and at least listened to the people that are in the same situation as you, the same boat as you, as far as money and economy, this, that, and the third, what's the word I'm looking for? The same level of income, you chose not to, because you looked at them as less than, or you looked at them what they was going through. They're just complaining. They're never satisfied. Yada, yada. That's how it was looked upon. So of course, when the higher ups came and was like, yo, they're going to do this, you already have a preconceived notion of not even listening to what these people are telling you they're going through. And now you're looking at them as an enemy, because you're like, yeah, they can kind of take our jobs. So I'm going to side with this person. And it's like, dude, all we're trying to do is tell you, yo, it's hard. You have some access to certain things I don't. So how about we fight together and you utilize the access of things that you have access to that I don't, and we bring that fight to the elitists.
I agree. Tell me what those things are, and we'll do it.
I've told you,
that's what I'm trying to get to.
Though, winning. I've told you multiple times. You guys.
I want to hear what he thinks. What he thinks about it. Like,
me?
I want to hear I want to hear what those things are we can bring to you and work on together. Because I'm in the mindset that we're not going to get anywhere unless we heal this.
Yeah.
Well, I actually spelled it out, but you just ignored that. Just that fast.
He ignored me too, and this is the whole point. He keeps ignoring what we say.
I'd say, you think that I'm ignoring, or maybe I just haven't gotten it yet. Like, it's like kind of like the same thing. I agree with a lot of what you're saying.
Sir, no, sir. Come on, sir. You understood the words that came out of my mouth, yes?
We know, Smooth. We're not.
No, I'm just being real. I mean, because as far as I'm concerned, I wasn't speaking a foreign language.
Yes, but Smooth, like, what you got to understand is, if you break something down to me and I don't get it, I just don't get it. But if Gary say the same thing, if Gary say the same thing you said, but use different terminology or lingo, then I may process it.
You know
So
what? Then
that's
I
what I'm
don't
saying.
mind
So
repeating myself. I
yeah,
do not mind repeating myself. Bottom line,
but to
if
me personally, let me say my piece and then you could go. Because I know he asked me, he wanted to know exactly what my perspective
Mhm.
on it. And for me, my perspective is this. If you can't acknowledge what I'm telling you I'm going through, and you catch an attitude or feel like I'm complaining or I'm lying about my situation because you feel that on your end or people in your circle is going through the same thing, you feel that way, that's the pushback. We're never going to get anywhere. Never going to get anywhere because it's like, yo, although we may go through the same things, we still cannot deny the fact that you have access to certain things that I don't. Like, case in point, do you think if the crowd for the insurrection was 95% black, do you think they would have made it into the Capitol?
Know anything
Yes
about
or
that,
no?
but I'll acknowledge that I hear your concerns and I realize that it's been tough on the black community. That's why I'm here today. All right.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is, in your heart of hearts, do you believe they would have got into the Capitol? Because there was times that a group of black people who
Yes, I
peacefully
do.
went to. You think they
Yes, I
would?
do.
So
Yes.
then explain to me when a group of black
In fact, they
people
get
went
into
to.
buildings all the time. They're called
let me
BLM.
let, let me say this. Let me say this.
Yeah.
You're okay. And this is another thing. You're saying they say BLM, right?
I'm just
But
saying that you
yet,
asked me if they
okay,
could have gotten
okay.
in there. Yeah.
Yes, but that whole BLM thing to me is a farce because we hear don't get me wrong, there is destruction that people in the protests do. But if we're to be frank, in those protests, the people that are doing the looting and stuff are people that have absolutely nothing to do with the protest itself. Case in point, if I'm a person that's a drug dealer or a criminal and I see a protest is going on, I'm gonna be like, yo, that's a cover up for me to go get a lick, for me to go break into the stores. It's so many people, I'm gonna get away with it. Now, that falls under the roof of BLM. I understand that because they're in the crowd. But there's countless of video evidence where you see black people standing in front of stores saying, yo, you are not going to break in here because they're going to think it's us. And you know who are the people in the video that were looting, graffitiing, and all that, breaking into stores? Our
undercover
white
police
counterparts.
officers.
And our
No,
white counterparts. They was dressed in
There you
black,
have it.
all black and stuff like that. Now,
Yeah.
so that sets a precedence for BLM. But with that being said, as far as saying looting and stuff like this, we don't hear none of the negative condensation when it comes to what happened on January 6th. But to get back to what I was saying,
but Walls,
to get back,
go ahead. I'll
yeah,
let you
go ahead.
finish. I don't mean to
Yeah,
interrupt,
okay.
but just to put the
get
January 6th thing in context, I can help with that. Right?
Okay. To get back to perspective, there was black people who went to protests at the Capitol. The minute they showed up armed, I mean, people like government officials armed to the teeth, waiting for them to make one move. So that's why I strongly believe if the crowd that was going into the Capitol was black, they wouldn't have got through.
I hear you on that. Let me just put that into perspective. I have a lot more information on January 6th than we have time to go through right now. But that was a setup in a lot of different ways. You got QAnon involved. You got the feds involved. You got a lot of setup going on. There's some things that maybe we could have a conversation about and really dig into that as a particular thing. But to really get back on.
I get that part. I get that part.
Look,
I just want to say this. Real quick. Let me just say
brother.
this one line smooth, and it's yours. I get that part winning, But the only reason why there was moving parts was because the crowd was not predominantly black. If the crowd was predominantly black, there wouldn't have been no moving parts, which goes back to what 360 was saying. When it's white, our white counterparts involved, then there seem to be moving parts to allow certain things like
the guards. They already denied Capitol Guards before that.
Well,
That's why I said there's a lot more to it. They had already said no, we don't want 10,000 more Capitol Guards there that day. This is about Trump. This wasn't about anything that has to do with color. But it's like I think I get the point you're saying, that you think that if it was black people, there would have been a bigger reaction to it. I look at like Kenosha and other places like that, and the things that have been going on the last couple of years. I have to disagree with that. But I think that me and you can have a conversation about that particular topic at another time. I know that we're limited on time. I kind of feel a little bit rushed because I was told we don't have a lot of time tonight. So I'm kind of like with my restful voice right now.
I'm crossed the time frame that I was gonna get off. So I'll give it to about 9:45-ish that I get off. Like that's my cutoff point, because I got to be up 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I know you got to work, man. Yeah. Hey, man, let's me and you to get together sometime and actually have just one-on-one conversations about this, man. On stream, I'll come to your stream, whatever you want to. Let's continue conversations. I made like a bunch of notes when you were talking. Yeah, me and you. Just me and you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Oh, I love you, man. I love talking to you. And I made a bunch of notes when you were talking about your intro, and I don't feel like I'm going to get
interesting. Very interesting.
Okay.
And I made a lot of news for you too, 360. Me and you agree on a lot of things, man. I think when we actually get down to talking, we're going to figure out we agree on a lot of things.
Well, I mean, no, I'm saying interesting because just a while ago you were saying that I guess there was a loss in translation or something earlier. And I'm not trying to be an asshole. Well, excuse me. I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. But yeah, that's pretty much where we were, because the question you were just asking him, I had immediately finished answering for you. That when it comes to this particular type of this conversation, this topic, where, of course, we can all agree about the existence and doings of the global elite. Yeah, they exist. We know this. But with respect to our life in this country, that set of elitists are pretty much a small body of people that many of us have no connection to, it, whether through lineage or even ethnicity. So when we hear these conversations about what we all need to do collectively to combat them or to gain more ground with respect to them, well, it winds up being a relatively empty enterprise when the people telling us this don't necessarily want to get their hands dirty or have as much skin in the game. And that's the point I'm making. That if you tell me that there's issues that are affecting both you and me, but then I come back and tell you, well, you know what? That's all true. But there's other issues in addition to the ones that you have that I actually have to engage on a daily basis. And for whatever reason, whether it's your apathy, whether it's just delusionment, or whether you're still mystified about exactly what your personal participation in this system is, where it still blinds you from being able to see and acknowledge that, well, we have a problem, because you're asking me to put my problems, my issue on the back burner simply because you don't necessarily have them to address other problems that still affect the both of us. Now, that's all good and fine. If you want to address the problems that affect the both of us, well, yes, that is a worthy aim. But just because we indulge in that, it doesn't mean that my other problems just magically disappear simply because I'm aiding you. Now, if we're going to make a true alliance, well, then that means at the very least, you may have to do certain things to get me to where you are. You may have to collectively do things to eliminate some of these other problems that are actually coming from your collective.
Talk slow.
I hear you on that, and I think if you're willing to sit down and have the conversation with me and take your time trying to get those points across and to hear my concerns and my points of views, we can get there.
Wait,
But
what concerns do you have?
First of all, I've said this on the show many times. There is no white community. I know that there's this perception that there is, but there isn't. And I've explained this to Gary, I think, pretty well, and we've had conversations about it. And there is no white community, right? There isn't one. Right. We don't look at each other like that. We don't have that. There's no secret meetings that we go to. Now you have the government, you have the elitists, you have the world. They may have their little clubs, right? But the average person like me, we don't have a club, right?
Okay, then it means you need to start one. It means you need it means you need to start one and start organizing other white folks to be anti-racism.
Wait,
so that we don't. So we don't have to keep petitioning you all. We don't have to keep begging you all to end systemic racism. It's something that you as a collective would take on your own. See, that's the problem right there.
Yeah,
the problem is this expectation for black folks to have a conversation with white folks that white folks really should be having with themselves first. And then after they've come to the conclusion of hopefully a consensus that institutional racism and bigotry is wrong, then after they've come to that consensus, come to black folks and say, okay, come join us in this war against the elites.
So we got the white club together, right? What do you think that's going to come across looking like in this day and age?
Let's see what?
Yeah, you just said we need to start our own club. It's like if we started a white club, what do you think that's going to come across looking like in this day and age? We're going to be demonized by the same media that's demonizing and dividing us. You're going
to be addressed according to your ideology and what you promote.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about organizations like the KKK that promote racism and
the Democrats,
genocide, then you're going to be seen as an asshole. But if you come out and you have an organization dedicated to the inclusion of race and the destruction or dismantling of the racist systems of this country, well, you're going to be under a new light. Then you'll actually be in a position to barter for that type of alliance that you're looking for.
You realize
that is the answer.
Get what you want, what you're talking about in place. That for us to even, I don't know what power you think that I have or what the white people have, right? But in order to get what you're talking about in place, we have to take down the elitists. That's what I'm talking about. In order to do that, we have to come together first, and then we can solve the problem. Your problems will be minimized and go away when we are together.
And that's what I'm saying. You don't really want to have skin in the game.
No, my skin's way in the game.
Because I just mapped it out for you. The only way that you're going to counter the elitists is with this alliance between white, black, red, orange, whatever, all these colors, right? That's what it takes to combat the elitists, right?
Exactly.
And if I'm telling you to even get to that point to where we can have those alliances, there's certain things that white folks need to do first. And if you're going to tell me, oh, well, no, we can't do that because the elites were going to stop us. We talk
about getting together and battling the media. We have to take the power out of their hands first. You understand this is not just systematic. It's generational. It's generational.
Then you know what? If that's the mentality, then you are not poised for a revolution.
Here's the thing, because
you're acquiescing to defeat before you even start.
This is how
it's about solution culture, and solution culture is that we implement a generational
solution culture. Is you do the things that's necessary to get to the steps that you're even talking about. If I just point out to you that for these races to get together, the one thing that needs to happen first is if white folks want to be part of this alliance, there's certain things white folks are going to have to do. If they don't want to do them, then we're not going to have this alliance, period. That's how it works.
Can I interject? Because me listening to both of you guys go back and forth, and this is me looking at it objectively. What I'm hearing from you winning is, in order for us to fight the snow, we have to build this house. And that's it. It's like, we have to build this house. And you're like, how are we going to build this house? And Smooth is like, yo, we got to get the wood, we got to get the bricks, we got to get the cement.
There we go.
No. Wait. And then you're like, but we just got to build this house to fight the snow. And it's like, okay, Let me listen. What you saying no about?
Smooth is saying we need a foundation, and he's saying let's build the house on top of the snow. That's what Smooth is saying. Perfect example.
No, actually, he said it. Yeah, Walls actually said it right. He said it right. I'm saying if we want to protect ourselves from the snow, we have to build this house.
And we need a foundation.
And the steps to build this house requires wood, nails, concrete, whatever the materials are. My man over here is saying, well, no, I can't give you the nails because the snow is going to rain down on my head before I can get them to you.
Yep. See, if you have the foundation, it's still not like just saying we need the foundation. It's still a finished product. In order for you to get to the house, you need the equipment, the nails, the bricks, the tools. And the way Winning's response is, it's like saying, well, I don't want to grab the tools and stuff. I just want the house. And it's like, no, in order for us to get this house, you have to have the tools. You have to have the hammer.
You're not going to get the benefit without the investment. You have to put some skin in the game. Bottom line.
Right.
Which is
and black folks and other minorities are not going to be the only ones putting skin in the game.
Which is why 360 is
we've
saying,
been doing that. That's the problem. It's like we've been
and
I'm trying to do that alone has not been working, and that's over. That's not happening.
I'm trying to break it down in a digestible form for Winning, because as much as we can speak on it, if it's not processing in his mind, we could go back and forth all day, but it's not computing.
Hold up. Again, none of us really spoke in any extremely verbose manner. He knew exactly what we were saying. He heard the words. He's over there making notes as he said. Yes, am I right, sir?
Winning.
He usually takes some time to get back to his mic. I know he be doing stuff back and forth.
Okay.
Oh, so another form of not listening. No problem. Same old.
It seemed like the temperature in the room is pretty high, and if we're gonna have high temperature, it's really not gonna accomplish anything.
The live is about emotionalism, right?
It is, but
you're talking to black people about something that is very emotional for us.
It is, but
it goes back to what I said in the very beginning. Is it so much that black folks are so emotional, or is it that the non-black folks are not emotional enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's this question of apathy.
I'm getting there. I'm not apathetic, man. I went out and I've done this entire thing to try to get to this point, right? I'm not apathetic at all. That's the last thing I am. Okay. Nobody's gonna tell me I'm apathetic, dude. I mean, that's the whole thing. I don't think that we should be fighting with each other. I think that we should be united. And
I don't even see this as a fight.
All these hurdles I got to jump over to be united with you from some other place. And I'm trying to understand what you're saying. And yes, I want to bring the hammers and the nails and the woods. And if you need me to get it from my shop, I'll get it for you. I'm willing to do what you need, man.
There's only two things. There's only two things that's necessary. One, to not participate in activities or behaviors that express allegiance to this institutionally racist system. Or in other words, don't be a racist. Two, have the conversation with other white folks and begin the groundworks of the ideology, at the very least the ideology, that will hopefully lead to the organization of such groups of other white folks who are dedicated to the eradication of this racist system. That's it. So in other words,
there's the people I'm talking to, and take a look at what's right here. It's a solution culture thing I've built. Like, I'd like to introduce you to, like, you haven't had a fair opportunity to see what I'm about yet. In all truthfulness, you're just looking at me as this dude right now. And I get that, because we haven't had a chance to build a relationship together yet. I want to invite you on my show just to have a one-on-one with me.
That's
I
fine.
can actually show all that stuff to you. I think you're going to find that me and you are on the same page in a lot of ways. And maybe I get where you would come at me in kind of a generalized way, and that's cool, because I don't mind these conversations at all. I don't mind.
Wait, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. You ask a question, and I'm just giving you the answers to the question that you're actually asking. Now, there might be answers that you may not necessarily be used to hearing, but they are sincere and, for all intents and purposes, emotionless answers. Yes, I may speak in a impassioned way, but no, sir. Don't think for a second that this is one of those type of unhinged kind of conversations like that, or emotionally embroiled type of thing. No, no. This is very, very cold and direct.
No, I like it. I like it, dude. I dig you, man. You're cool. It's all good with me, man. I want to get to know and understand you better.
Well, I keep it simple, man. And that's why they call me 360, because if it goes too far, I will bring it all the way back, and I will make it make sense. So even if you tell me that you didn't get it the first time, that's no problem. I'll say it a whole other way and still bring it right back to where it needs to be.
Yeah, man, Rome wasn't built in a day, dude. It takes time to form relationships, to get to know each other, and also to understand where we're coming from. I mean, a lot of things me and Gary have been doing on this channel is about bridging the gap in communication, trying to understand each other's language, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, all that stuff. We've been working at it for months now. So there's a lot to unpack here in a short amount of time. And I really do appreciate this conversation, and I appreciate your passion and your point of view. And I do respect and understand that all of y'all have had a rough time in life, and I get it. And I want to make it better. I want to make this thing, I want to fix this thing so that we can move forward into a better future for everybody, where we can truly love each other the way that we really do. Well, the second part of our so hopefully, Walls 360, we can both have conversations together and work on this thing together.
Yeah, definitely.
That was my point. Don't misinterpret my tone for where we are.
I dig it.
I mean, before tonight, I didn't know you from a can of paint.
Yep.
I still don't, because all I have to base anything or any type of potential judgment of you or assessment of you is just from our conversation, and even that is still based on ideology, not you as an individual.
And on my end, it's just pretty much, this was the question that was asked, and I'm gonna tell you, like Smooth said, directly, this is the answer, this is the cause, this is the effect on why this happens, why the emotions, like, we're basically just giving you the direct answer, and not necessarily a back and forth banter for solution. Now, if we want to go to solutions or whatever,
that's something else.
In depth, we can. But we're just giving you the blunt, straight up, like, yo, this is what blacks go through. This is what they think. That's their mental state.
Yep.
Just drop it all on your shoulders, and that's that.
Yep, straight up temperature check.
That's all we basically did. Because I see people in the comments like, "Oh, you're being manipulated," this, that, and the third. And it's like, no, we was asked the question we was asked the question on black people's perspective, and we each gave our perspective on why, the cause and effect, and we gave it blunt as possible. Because if you can't be blunt as far as giving you the whys, the answers to your whys, then what are we doing here?
Yep. We gotta have these conversations. We gotta have these conversations.
Exactly.
I see somebody said I said stuff with no evidence or sources. Well, excuse me if I just don't have websites and articles and all these different things at my fingertips just to give out to people who want to nitpick. Excuse me, I'll post nerd. I'm sorry, I don't have a whole anti-propaganda think tank to just pull stuff out my ass with.
You know what I learned? People will accept less facts or less evidence if they're agreeing with what you're saying. Because if you were speaking the language that this person or people agree with, they're not going to ask you, yo, where'd you get your resources from? Where'd you get your facts from? They're just going to roll with it. But the minute you say something that they don't agree with, that's when they start saying, where's your proof? Where's your proof?
Yep.
Where's this? So when they say that, just ignore it, bro, because once you agree with that propaganda or whatever the person is saying, I never heard a person agree with somebody and say, oh, wow, I agree with you, but where's the facts for it? I never once heard anybody say that.
Yeah.
It's only when it's something that you don't really agree with.
Yep. And and generally, if something comes up and I'm not familiar with it, like the 1980 thing that smooths, I won't comment further on it. I'll be like, I don't know about that. I'll make a note of it and I go learn about it. That's what we got to do.
It's okay. It's okay to ask for facts, but when you're presenting it as of, yo, you're lying, this, that, and the third, and like casting aspersions on the person's character on top of wanting the facts, it's like,
right.
Yeah. So it's okay to say, yo, could you tell me? Yeah, it's okay to be like, yo, can you tell me where you got that from? Whatever. And I can point you in the right direction easily.
Right.
But when you start taking it, go ahead.
I see as a point of contention, some folks are taking their own perspective and thinking that they think I'm saying that the solution is something solely to be put upon white folks. No, I did not say that. That was not my assertion. What I did say is that there's certain things that if white folks want this alliance with the other ethnicities in this country, then there's certain things that they have to do amongst themselves first. Their own version of house cleaning first.
And
then we can come back to the table and have the conversation of everybody coming together and make no mistake about it. While they're off doing their housekeeping, all the other races are doing their housekeeping too.
Because
just real quick on
everybody's doing something.
Go ahead.
We got this woke problem out here where we got people washing feet and bowing down and putting their hands up and acting like a cult trying to please black people, and that's not going to be the way to hail racism. In fact, all it does is instigate it and make it worse.
And it patronizes us too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it
does. Exactly.
We have to stop. That's our house cleaning, guys. That's what we got to fix right there. We're pushing back against it. But the elitists, the ruling class, they love that shit because they know that it breeds racism. They know,
and it makes some money.
Yeah,
it makes some money. That's why you see it. Look, we can all see it. This country has made a concerted push in favor of black women amongst all women and members of the LGBTQ plus whatever rainbow community. There's been a push to promote both of those groups. Why? Because they're great consumer groups. That's why.
It's wrecking the culture. It's not healing division. It's not getting us to where we can understand each other. It's not fixing the problems that are it's exasperating them. It's reminding everybody of the wound. It's digging at the wound. It's pouring salt in the wound. That's what it's doing. Right. And it's brainwashing people. It's making people feel like they're less than and that they're victims and that they're oppressors.
It's actually delegitimizing the causes of both groups because it's putting them in positions to where instead of them just continuing their own individual fight for equality, they've taken it well beyond that to the point of almost supremacy, to where you can't even really say certain things about them without being canceled or suffering some other type of detriment that were it the other way around, it would be right there with the same things that they supposedly are fighting for, the same liberties, the same expressions, everything that the same acceptance that we're now being kind of forced to grant or bestow or recognize. Those are the same things that they inadvertently or maybe even directly, very consciously, are now attacking the rest of the population with.
Exactly.
Okay.
100%.
So here's a question that I want to ask, because this is going to the a message I saw in the comment section. White people been fighting for blacks, right? For the longest, right? How exactly have white people been fighting for blacks? That's what I'm asking you, Winning. How exactly have white people been fighting for blacks?
Well, I'll take the 360 smooth approach. Just be like, well, exactly which white people are you talking about? We got
exactly. Exactly.
Well, no, because truth be told, black people don't ask white people to fight for them or make anything, because truth be told, when it comes to the black community, we say, yo, we actually have to band together and fight fight the fight ourselves and don't include anybody in the fight. So
No, I agree.
for
I think that's
for
the
white
mistake of
people,
that
so here's the thing. So unless you're going to, so when white people say I've been fighting for blacks, the only way you could logically make that statement is if you went to black people or a group of black people who are like putting fight to for equality, more equality and stuff like this, and to fight the establishment. If you went to them and said, yo, what can I do to help progress this fight? If that's what you did and they said, yo, do XYZ, and then you pursued to do XYZ, then you can legally say that you fought for black people. But if you're doing what you believe is in the best interest of helping black people, you're not helping black people. In order for you to help me, you have to understand what I need help with. You can't base it off of what you think I need. So I just want clarity on that when it's like, yo, white people been helping black folks, for the longest. So
I think they look
just
at
wanted
that.
to
I
clear
think
that
that
up.
that statement came from a white person in the crowd or somewhere. I think what they're thinking about is historically, like in slavery, in the slave trade, things of that nature, right? But
Okay.
at day-to-day basis today, I agree with you, Walls, in the fact that you guys have to fix your own community, and that's when I approached Gary
Yes.
first about doing this show. I said, well, it
Yes.
wasn't like somebody. I don't like it when white people try to stand in front and do all this BLM stuff with hands up and all this other shit, right? Because they're just treating black people like they're pets, and that's bullshit. They're men and
See,
women.
Well,
I got to give you
they
pushback
can't-
on that. I got to give pushback on that because those people that you see are in the trenches with black people marching and stuff like that. They're actually wanting to know what can they do to march with them to be in unison.
So a lot of that's organized, and a lot of that is
well,
deceptive.
hold up.
But that's what
Let's
you
back up.
need. You need a organize. You need it to
Fellas,
be organized.
let's back up a second. First of all,
Yeah.
in no shape or fashion or form was BLM a construct of black people. Let's just start right there. It's not like anybody came to us and did a census and say, hey, do you want to be part of BLM? No, we didn't have that experience. BLM was an experiment or an initiative to give a sense of central organization to something that had none, for the sole purpose of being able to rationalize giving propaganda or using propaganda against it, and further generalizing black folks and black folks sympathizers. That's what that was for. So whenever any random person just did something that was unseemly, well, then you actually had somebody to blame. Oh, it's BLM. Oh, there's a riot down here. Oh, it must be BLM. There's some businesses broken into. Oh, see those darn BLM people. But that still was no way reflective of black people as a whole, but yet it wound up through propaganda being associated with black folks that way. Further stereotyping. So if we're going to talk, so it goes back to what I said before when it comes to the things that are necessary, primarily not white folks not being racist and white folks actually having their own conversations with each other while we do our own thing. Well, part of not being racist is also eliminating these outside influences that either slow down or impede that progress that we're trying to do with ourselves. So in restricting all this flow of illegal guns and other contraband, drugs, etc., keeping that from even getting into our community, because you cannot tell us that cocaine and some of these other substances, these narcotics originate here. This country doesn't grow that stuff here, or at least not in the mass to truly affect our society that in a way that it is, unless it's being brought in. So for those who are participating in that process to bring it in, yeah, those people need to stop that. For the people who are bringing in the illegal guns, they need to stop that. For the people who are within our governmental systems that adversely affect black folks, such as taking tax dollars that should be going to the restoration of our infrastructure here, but taking that and funneling that money into other places. They need to stop that. They need to stop taking the money out of our school systems and actually put it there where some of it belongs. They need to redistribute that money for the purposes that it was supposed to be distributed for. Those types of things, those types of things that still follow consistently historical racist patterns, those are the things that need to stop. Then at least that'll be a problem that we black folks don't have to deal with. We can actually focus on the problems that we actually participate in.
Now, all those things you just named off, a lot of them are right here on this board that I have. This global ownership class and this fourth veil, the cycle of control, which I talk about on my channel. The cycle of control, this generational corruption that controls reality, right? That's normalized in our society today, right? And here we have the cycle of abuse in the third veil, right? The cycle of abuse, all these things that are affecting us day in and day out that cause the criminality, that cause the downfall, the corruption in society, right? They're all right here, right? And this cycle of abuse powers the cycle of control. These are the things that we need to come together to stop in order to stop these things, like you're saying, that are affecting the communities, right? And like we feel powerless too. Like we don't. These people sit up here on a high horse. We can't get to them because they have this cycle of control going on generationally. Right, this is the board that I work on, and here we are in the second and first and second veils fighting with each other. Manufactured opposition, manufactured consent, destabilization, demoralization, all equaling manufactured division, right? And we have to be able to see past these veils, this establishment narrative about racism and sexism and feminism and all these things, wokeism, all these things that we talked about tonight, right, are all right here, right? And then if people fall out of that, they fall into this conspiracy narrative where they live in fear and they stay on defense. They have no solutions, right? But they're trying to subvert the young to change the culture.
Well, actually, a conspiracy is in many cases is just unproven reality. But once we get evidence, it's not necessarily a conspiracy anymore now, is it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's right here. They're open about the conspiracies, and that's the thing that the people in the second veil don't understand. They think it's some kind of sinister underground thing. No, they're very open about what they do because they have been owning this world for a very long time. It's the maintenance of power, right? It's the maintenance of power that allows them to do that. It's this elitist mindset, root cause issue right here, right? It's the control of language. It's all these things that equal their generational power and their ability to own all of us and control all of us. And that's what I'm trying to say. Is part of the way that we break this, we pull down these veils, is to heal the division and the things that give them the power to do this, right? We have to win the culture war. We have to stop giving them our consent without understanding what we're giving our power to. Our consent is our power, our free will, right? We have to stop becoming opposition to each other. Right? These are the things that allow them to continue the cycle of abuse, right? The war, the terrorism, the operations that put drugs in the black community and other communities. This is a problem that spans the races, but is affecting the black community very hard, of course, right? We live in this full spectrum dominance kind of world, right? And we have to, this is what I'm trying to show people on my channel, right? And this is what we talk about in all my shows, is this big board right here that has the answers. And the solution culture right here, this is where we want to be. This is the solution to tear down these veils so that we can have a good and wholesome and honest and integral society where we respect free will of each other. We have self-ownership, where we really love humanity, and where we join together in immersion, which is spontaneous order, not authoritarianism and superiority and totalitarianism, right? When these people think that people are property, but we believe that life gives you your rights, right? But this is a battle between good and evil.
But here's the thing, Winning. This is like all the chart is phenomenal and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
But here's the thing. In order for us to achieve all these steps to get to there, if me and my spouse is living in a house together and we're not taking the time to acknowledge each other's problems, or if I know I sit at in a higher position than my spouse, but I know together me and my spouse can tackle whatever problems we're going through, but I'm not even willing to acknowledge or listen to what she's going through, how the heck are we going to be in unison if I just undermine whatever she's going through with my problems?
I agree.
Or to put it another way, if we want to build a house, you may be talking about the brick and the mortar, you may be talking about the wood and the roof, but here it is, I'm still telling you, we still need to have the foundation first. Because all those things that you mentioned are great. They truly are steps that we do need to take as a general collective. However, we're not there yet.
Yes.
And there's a lot of work that needs to be done on both sides to get there. Because, as I mentioned before, when it comes to white folks and what they have to do to be seen as worthy or trustworthy to have this alliance with, yeah, of course, there's certain things they have to do. But in the meantime, there's things that we have to do on our end to even be ready to accept that alliance and be able to contribute in our part as well.
Absolutely, man. And you just made the perfect transition to our next segment here. Go ahead and finish that, man. That's
it. That's it.
All right, I want you guys to check this out. We're gonna move into this next part. Hey guys, great conversation on all this stuff, man. It's been beautiful. But what you just said here, I think is what Tatum and Michael Irvin have been saying in the right here. And I wanted to show you this. We talked about this before the show. Let's take a look at this right here.
I know this. I know this.
He raps. His rap name is Tut Tarantino. You ever listen to some of his raps? I'm like, oh my God, where does this come from, son? You grew up in a gated community your whole life.
Michael Irvin on here spitting fire. This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com. Get the merch link in the description section. Jesus matters. I don't care what you think. I don't care where you're from. I don't care who you're from. Jesus matters. That's why I made this shirt. So for all of you Jesus loving patriots out there that want a shirt to reflect how you feel about our Lord and Savior, go ahead and get one of these shirts. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notification anytime I go live. I make a video. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Irvin, thank you, my man, for saying what you had to say. Because there's not enough of us that's out here saying and calling out the mess of our young people going down a path that is destructive and a path to return.
See, but that's not true.
Ja Morant.
Pause it. That's not true.
No, let's hear how to say first, man.
Wait. The reason why I say it's not true is because everybody focus on, when it comes to blacks, they focus on the hood and the ghetto.
Exactly.
That's all, and they think that's the poster child or the voice for all black people.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be.
And that is that in itself is the negative anti-black male propaganda I was mentioning before. So the more they keep saying these things, the more they create the perception that these people speak for us when they really don't. They create the perception that our young men, our boys are all just so messed up. And that's not true. Not even close.
I'll give you one better, right? Why do you think they had freaking Cardi B going to speak to politicians about black issues and all this stuff with the stuff that she promotes out there? They freaking try and say Sexy Red is like equivalent to Michael Jackson with her stardom. Nobody's thinking that.
Nope.
But the agenda is being pushed front and center to make it seem like that's who speaks for. I'll tell you like this. The equivalent of this propaganda right here with the whole, the whole rap thing is the equivalent how whites feel when people talk about white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
Because white supremacy, white people will be like, yo, that don't speak for us. That's a small group. That's the same thing for all this negative hip hop culture BS that's going on. Women promoting promiscuity, all of that stuff. Men are literally coming out their mouth and saying, yo, we don't want this.
Look, it's just like talking about Trump with white liberals. Oh no, we're not Trumpers like them. Oh no, we think they're scum. They will say all these different things to get defensive and separate themselves from that ideology that negatively impacts them. And it's no different.
Well,
And
yeah.
that's the point that we're making. We're
Mhm.
saying that the same way those folks aren't necessarily representative of the other group of white folks, it's the same way we're saying that that element that you see in the media, whether it be television, film, radio, print, people who embody those negative stereotypes and attributes, in no way or fashion are they truly representative of black people as a collective. But because those media streams are so prevalent and because those media streams are outside the direct control of people who would represent that, that's why it persists. That's why that negativity persists, why that negative imagery persists, and why we keep having conversations, and even commentators like that one talking about what we don't have enough of. He doesn't know what we don't have enough of because, first of all, the overwhelming majority of our people don't necessarily have a platform to be as comprehensively expressive as him or any of us. And that's the difference.
And I'll put to you like this: the door swings both ways on that too. That's the same kind of like the thing that we run up against and whites run up against too, right? Where we're generalized by this general idea of us when that individually we're different, right? And I'm one of the few channels that are like this, right? There's a lot that aren't, but it's like we run up against the same problems. There's not enough. You get the loudmouth leftists, that are out there spewing their shit, and they're people think that it represents everybody, right? And so they get in the bully position, right? And they get in the bully position. They get the media coverage because the media loves it because it's divisive, right? They always want to divide. They want to show that image they want people to see and think of white people as. Like most of us aren't racist. Most of us are people, and that's what we don't get to see.
But here's the thing, though. This is, I think, where that argument differs. Because us in the black community, we understand there's ratchetness amongst blacks. We understand there's criminals amongst blacks. We understand there's deadbeat dads amongst blacks. We understand blacks fit the stereotype. When the dude from Dillard's, not Dillard's, the comic book, what's the comic? What was the comic?
Dillard,
the dude that said,
you had it recently, right?
who said, yo, move away from blacks because of this, that, and the third, blah, 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 all this stuff. It wasn't black people that canceled him. It was white people that canceled him. Black people understood what he said had truth to it.
Why? Because we do the same damn thing.
The problem is, when we say something about what whites do, whites deny it. That's the separator.
Or downplay it.
Yes,
Very
or
much
downplay it. We accept our flaws. We know we got these flaws. And if you call us on it, we're going to be like, yo, you got us. It is what it is. But white counterparts, they downplay it or deny it or make it seem like it don't exist.
Or at the very least, or at the very least, there's been a long-standing history of white folks doing that and doing that in large numbers.
Yes,
not like them,
and that's the difference.
It's not wanting to be included in it. It's like it's the good white folks not wanting to be included in it. It's what it is. I can tell you that right now.
But it's part of your history.
Though. That's not the point.
Yes, it's part of your history. No matter.
Okay,
how
I see.
I
see. Let me try to say. Maybe I'm having a breakthrough here. Maybe I hear what you're saying. You're saying that even though you yourself aren't part of the bad parts of your community, right? And you wouldn't associate with any of that. You're still going to own that. So what you want white folks to do is own the bad parts too.
Let me give you
exactly.
Black people ask for because
and understand that through that ownership.
Gary was going to say something.
Well, I'm sorry, Gary.
Yeah, because he didn't take the floor at all. Go ahead, Gary.
So, as a dasher, they treat me a certain way. Okay. Some restaurants require me to show that I have accepted the meal before they give it to me, before they hand it to me. I don't like that. I think I don't like it. I don't like how that feels. It's a little irritating. But I do know about a lot of Black Dashers who have stolen food multiple times. If I'm walking down in a Home Depot or a Lowe's or like I was telling you winning the other day, a Sports Authority, and all of a sudden somebody comes roaming around to ask me for some support or some help, I have to understand where that's coming from, because there are people who steal, right? I have to accept where it's coming from. Do it feel good that I feel like I'm being profiled? No, it doesn't feel good that I'm being profiled, but it is what it is. I can't run from it. Everywhere I go, I'm going to be Black. So there's nothing I can do to get away from it. It's the same damn thing with y'all. The other night, I was in a gas station and I saw a cop with a bald head. He looked very rough, looked very clan-ish. You want to know why he looked clan-ish? Because all clan-ish people look white. So you can't escape it no matter how much you want to. It's a part of it. It's a part of our history. It's a part of our culture. It's what it is. And when I normally just speak personally, when I hear white people say, well, I'm not like that, or this, that, and the third, and I'm like, well, sure, but that doesn't dismiss the fact that it happens. It's not, it feels like shit to walk into a restaurant with the high rating that I got and be to say, can you please do this? And I have to just accept that, I gotta understand. Yeah, people still, I gotta understand it. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal, but I do it.
I actually have a good example for you, Gary. I have a great example for you. For the film aficionados out there, I will point to the Godfather trilogy. The Godfather trilogy was directly instrumental in promoting the ideology or the perception that all Italians were mobsters, that they were all connected, that they were all engaged in gangster activity. Now, does that mean that on an individual basis, every Italian in this country is a gangster? Hell no. A lot of them, and no insult, it's not meant as an insult, but a lot of them just don't have it in them. Some of them are straight pussies. Now, does that mean all of them are pussies? No. You got some hard-hitting mobster type dudes out there who just so happen to be Italian, and some who just so happen to be involved in gang culture or mob culture. Some of them are. But is that to say that they all are? No. But that perception still persists. And that perception was born out of that propaganda from those three movies. And the way that this country has has set that as the standard for how we even look at that particular culture. And those who happen to be Italian, well, as I mentioned, they may not necessarily directly act out in the ways depicted in those movies, but it doesn't mean that they don't still benefit from the perception of doing so.
Yeah. Because I might not mess with them because I'm like, they might be mafia connected, or, somebody might give them a pass or something, like because they feel like they're mafia connected. I don't know, a free meal at a restaurant or something because they feel, I don't want nothing bad to happen out of this. Like I mean, it might not happen in a case like that, but you get what I'm saying. It's working in your benefit indirectly.
It's just like the Irish having that moniker of being the fighting Irish, or in a negative sense, being seen as alcoholics, because for whatever reason, alcoholism was one of those negative stereotypical tropes associated with Irish folks.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean every redheaded Irishman out here is falling off the wagon every day? Hell no. There are millions of functional Irish people who are not alcoholics. But do we bash them all for that? No. That would be truly ignorant.
Which is why I made the statement earlier about with black folks, we know these stereotypes and stuff come towards us. That's why when I'm out in public and stuff like this, I try to come off as non-threatening as possible to show you through my actions I don't fit in that category. See, I could tell you I don't fit in that category all day. I could tell you that. But if my actions don't do so, my words mean nothing. I could see better than I can hear.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody's trying to do when they're out there as well.
So my thing is this: if you're saying, "Yo, you what you call it, black people are always angry, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah," and you come to me and yo, man, I heard black people are always angry. Are you always angry? And I'm like, yo, don't put me in that category. Blah, blah. Right there, I fit the bill.
As for me, I would question those same people and say, well, do you really expect me to be happy? And exactly what am I supposed to be so happy for? You probably wouldn't want to deal with somebody else too happy in the first place. We still see people want to dig into airline stewardesses because they're too happy in the morning, because they didn't have their first cup of coffee of the day before they hopped on the plane, and they want to take it out on the stewardess. We still see Karens getting into it with men. What was it? A couple of years ago, a man was just in a park bird watching, and a woman called the cops on him. Or they had the other one try to sick a dog on a man. Yeah. Or the guys who just went to Starbucks and the police were called on them, and they were actually sitting there preparing for a business meeting. I mean, there's so many of these instances of microaggressions, but for whatever reason, we are collectively expected to somehow ignore the persistence of all those things. Because even the things I just mentioned are just those incidents that actually made viral headlines. We're not talking about all the microaggressions that we individually face on a daily basis that never get this type of attention. We're not even talking about that, but yet somehow we're supposed to forget all that stuff. We're supposed to put all that stuff on the back burner and pretend like it doesn't happen just so we can placate this one person or groups of people who may be engaged with us in conversation at the time. And then expect us to just somehow just be overtly happy or super friendly as if they've actually had their hand of friendship extended for some extended period of time.
And I just want to point something out. Black people see things through the lens of color. That's it. We see things through the lens of color. I see Gary as a black man. You know, I see Winning as a white man. I see, you know, my other boy who's Spanish or Hispanic. I see him as we see things through shades of color, because at the end of, that's why when people say, yo, I don't see color, it's like, okay, so if you're going to give a description of somebody, you're not going to put color into the narrative.
That's two different
colorless
things.
Male.
This is the conversation me and Gary had the other night. He didn't see where I was coming from, and my point of kind of like putting holes in his rhetoric, and in fact that it goes from seeing
Did you just say what I was saying was rhetoric?
No, well, you understand what I'm talking about.
No, I don't. You just said what I was saying was rhetoric.
You do know what rhetoric means? I mean, rhetoric means
exactly
it's grammar logic rhetoric. It's a trivia, man. It just means how you put logic together.
I said the same exact thing. I said the same exact thing that those two just said.
I just want to talk about what I'm trying to say here is like it just means how you put things together. All right, that's all it means. So it's basically how he was saying it was like, you know, in one phrase, it's like you see color as a physical thing, right? That everybody sees color as a physical thing, right? When you're hearing someone say, I don't see color, it means I don't judge you by color. That's what they're trying to tell you. That's the difference in communication there that I was trying to explain to him. And he's like, well, but you're still going to see me as a black man. Yes, I'm going to see you as a black man. Yes. And that's obvious. But I mean, the point is like there's this already this trauma in white folks where we're scared of making making things worse with relations with somebody.
But I
want to be friends with somebody as a person and not be involved with the past and everything else that we're told about ourselves.
I get that, but I gotta disagree, because if I'm walking down the block and I see a whole bunch of black people with their pants sagging, stuff like this, I'm like, yo, I'm not going by them black folks. If I see if I'm walking down the block and I see a bunch of skinheads on the corner, I'm not going by them white folks. So to say, yo, I like presentation. So you see, yeah, but if I saw black people with shaved heads, I'm not gonna think nothing of it. But if I see white people with shaved skin heads, I'm gonna think something of it, because that's a color dynamic to a demographic of people, what that represents. So I do see color.
But they're both dangerous groups, right? So the root of that is danger.
No, I'm not looking at bald black people chilling on the corner as a threat. If I see them with dreads and their pants sagging, I'm going to see them as a threat. But if I see a group of white folks that got braids and stuff, I'm not going to see them as a threat. I'm like, okay, they're just cool. They're just cool people, whatever. This, that, and the third. But if I see a group of black people the same way, but what I'm saying is, what represents me looking at them in a different light? The color of their skin.
Let me put it another way. Let's say we're out and about. You know, we've established our friendship quite well. We're drinking buddies. We go out to a bar. A group of white skinheads, for whatever reason, decide to pick a fight with me. They want to beat my ass. Do you see color then? Because they certainly do. It's primarily the reason why they want to fight me in the first place. But do you see color? Do you see the group of white men, or do you just see a colorless group of people trying to attack me for no reason?
No, I would think that they're a dangerous group of people because they're attacking you and they have a certain look to themselves, right?
And see that right there. That's what's left out of the equation.
And
just that quickly, because what it is
you missed it.
You have missed entirely the motivation behind what even started that in the first place. You're saying that, so you're not acknowledging that in this scenario, this group of skinheads or white men, white supremacist men, whose only reason for engaging me in the first place is out of their own racism. No, you just see them as just these colorless, odorless individuals. They're just nondescript.
Bad men.
It's a given.
They're just bad men.
This is the part that I don't think you get. It's a given to most people. Like people just it's a given that group has malicious intent for black people. We already get that. It's already a given. You know, it's like look, I've been jumped two times in my life by black people, by groups of black people. All right. But just because I'm white.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just because I'm white in my own hometown.
But see, here's the difference. You know? For us,
I know what it's all about.
It is not a given for black folks to just beat the shit out of white folks.
Not even close.
That's what they did. That's what they were trying to do those nights. Just because. Yeah.
But you see how you said it was a given for the skinheads? We don't have givens.
No,
that's not our given. We don't have a given default setting to just whooping white ass. That's not our given. That's not something even we see even remotely acceptable unless due to provocation, due to self-defense.
If they were sitting there and they're not messing with you, right? You could walk by and be like, oh, those guys are skinheads. They probably think this way, right? But when they're acting, it's a different thing. And in the scenario you gave me, they were acting on it. They were acting on their
and that's what I asked you about, the action in the moment. And your response was you didn't see the color. You saw that they were just dangerous men.
They were
that was your response.
Right? They're skinheads. Their ideology preceded their color. But I mean, if you guys see it color first, then we're getting somewhere.
When was the last time you saw a black skinhead?
Like, there's such a thing? I mean, would you guys?
I will be honest with it because I just happen to know. I do know of one actual black skinhead, but Aside from that
I
one,
live in
have you
Atlanta,
ever
Georgia,
seen
man.
any?
I've seen plenty of black Israelites walking
No.
around.
I'm saying black skinheads. Have you ever seen a black skinhead?
No, I don't believe. I mean, I've seen black people with their head shaved.
The only actual black skinhead that I know of is an actor. He's what's his name? Akinoye Agbaje. He's one of those characters. It's really hard to remember his name, but you've seen him. He was in one of the Mummy movies. He was in HBO's Oz. This guy's been.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But
so, like,
I mean, he has a very interesting life story. But one component of his life story is actually having joined the skinheads, the actual skinheads. Go figure. I mean, shit happens.
Yeah, right.
But aside from him, that is not a given for us.
Hold on. I just gotta go with what Luntak said. Danger is seen first, not the color. That's not true for black people.
You okay?
Okay, so we're just learning something. We're learning something.
Yeah, that is not true for black people. Black people see color.
Look,
that's how they identify the threat. They identify the threat through color.
Michael Moore said it best in his book, Stupid White Men, that if anything, it should be black folks who would be predisposed to locking their doors when they see white folks on the highway or walking across the street, given the history of this country. That he said that in his book. The name of the book.
Mike Moore put his picture on the front cover of that book. He's an idiot. But I don't,
he makes some strong points, though. You have to admit
they're very divisive points. I just don't like him. But anyways, the
points divisive is the division already there.
Nah, I mean, I just don't. His takes are always. His takes are always bad in my opinion. He has a lot of very bad takes. It doesn't make him very credible in my eyes. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. You're going by the one word he said, the point that he made, the one point. I can go with that. Again, like you said, black folks have a predisposition to walk around wanting to beat the shit out of white folks. And guess what? Most white folks aren't either predisposition. It's ideology that gets them and infects people's mind to get them to the point of being a black Israelite or to being a skinhead, right? Some very extremely racist groups. Black supremacists exist here in Atlanta. And they're real. So when you get to that point, it's a lot of hate buildup. It's a lot of mind control going on. Right, and they're both wrong. They're both just equally as wrong.
Yeah, here in Louisiana, we have David Duke.
We're better than that.
I don't know. I have a different take on it. The reason why, not a different take, but yes, it is a different take. But both of you guys are right in your analysis. Where Smooth is like, blacks don't just go looking to beat up white people, and yes, that is true with winning. How you're saying, white people don't just be, all white people don't just be going to look to, whoop black people's ass or take them out, whatever. But with that being said, I'm trying to phrase this right.
Well, how about this?
Equality is a threat to those that were in power. So if you're a person that's in power and equality is a subject of conversation, now you feel like the whole replacement theory and all of this stuff. Equality seems like a threat to you. So that's why black people have it in their mind like, yo, a white person, or if I see a skinhead or whatever the case may be, I'm looking at them some type of way, so to speak, because black people never had the power. So equality to us is just equal playing field. Like, put it like this.
How about this? Given the history of this country, black folks don't have the luxury of bestowing the benefit of the doubt.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
We don't have that luxury.
No, we don't.
So you can look at a black man and you can give him the benefit of the doubt. He might be a good black man, might not be a good black man. But one thing you already know, there is not an institution or history of black people committing certain atrocities to you. You know this. That's perfectly acceptable. But the other way around is not so much. We don't have that safeguard. We don't have that the luxury of that expectation. We know right now, if we get into it's just a simple fist fight with a white man, and he may be the one who started it off. We may very well find ourselves being the only ones arrested. And I can attest to that myself because I've been through a similar situation. Less than a year ago, when I was still working for a nightclub, it just so happened this one particular night, there was a gentleman who came in there, and he came during one of the busiest nights of the year. And our security protocol at that time was to restrict access on one door, making it an entrance, and making the other entrance an exit, so that it was one way in and the other way would be out. This one guy, for whatever reason, he wanted to go out the way that was the entrance. Got into it with one of our security guards. The security guard took things too far, punched the man in the face, knocked his teeth out. And then once I was able to get into the fray, all I did was take the man and physically remove him from the situation. He wanted to go back inside to collect his broken teeth, but because of the situation, I could not let him go back in. I told him I'd have to keep him outside. We can send people to go look for his teeth or whatever, but he could not come back in. This further enraged him. He spit his blood and saliva into my face, told me various slurs to my face, but it was only when he stepped into my face and spit the blood in my face that I actually pushed him back with my hand, and unfortunately got some of his blood on my hand. And then when the state troopers came, they arrested me. Not the guy who actually hit him. They arrested me. Oh, I'm sorry. They detained me, but I was still cuffed all the same. And had it not been for the video footage that captured the event, captured the fact that he was inside on the other side of a door while I was outside in front of the place, I just would have had the book thrown at me.
Did they arrest the guy who spit on you?
No, because it just so happens that he was the son of a prominent police chief connected with the one of those police unions. And yes, definitely had the complexion for the protection. Yes. And the state trooper also complexion for the protection. Yes. And when the state trooper looked at me and he said, well, oh, you're probably the one that hit him in the face. I said, hey man, don't be that guy. Do not be that guy. But he did not care. He still continued to accuse me all the same. And subsequently, I was cuffed all the same, even though I didn't have a goddamn thing to do with it.
I just want to say this and make this very clear. Although we're saying we see things, we see color and all of these things or whatever, at the end of the day, we still view whites like on a general consensus as nice people. When we're thinking about moving out of the hood and getting out of our bad area, the first thing we say is we're going to live amongst white folks, or we're going to move into an area where white people are. Black people think highly of white people. We do understand, though, there are those like skinheads and KKKs that exist. But at the end of the day, why do you think black folks came up with the term, you talk white? Because black people think highly, so highly of white people.
Or highly of the situation and circumstance that white people are privileged to in this country. Even though the overwhelming majority of white people might not see their privilege, we see it. And we may envy that privilege, or we may envy access to the circumstances of that privilege. For example, when I spoke earlier about the disparity with the money from state funds going to primarily more white neighborhoods than black neighborhoods, or at least going at a disproportional way, to where the black schools are getting substantially less money than the white schools. Well, yeah, it would be more advantageous for a black person to move into a white neighborhood where their children may have access to those white schools that have that money, that additional money. It just makes sense. Is it necessarily as convenient? Not necessarily. Is it necessarily as enviable just because? No, not necessarily. But the circumstance of it, that is what may be attractive.
It may, but I think the general consensus, just look at it as, I'm going to move upon white folks. Like those who are deep thinkers and, stuff like that, they look into those. They do look into those, but I don't think they look into it as deep as how you broke it down. You get what I'm saying? Like it's more so they lack the knowledge of it, so to speak. They're not informed. They know it, but they're not as deep thought about it. It comes like a second thought in their mind. It's not,
True.
So that's what it is. But that's why I said, generally speaking, black people be like, yo, I'm moving by white folks, man. Yo, it's nice over there. Neighbors are friendly. We say hi to each other, so I'm just pointing it out that black people do think highly of white people.
Right. You gave the explanation of what they do, and I just kind of gave the subconscious reason, the subconscious why.
Yeah. So don't get it twisted. Even though all the things that we're saying that we think about, at the end of the day, most black people trust white people more than they trust, black people. Yeah. So that's what it comes down to. But we're just answering the hard-pressed questions of how black people feel, how black people see it, unfiltered, where we could get it off our chests without feeling bad about saying it. That's what this conversation is. That's what this conversation is. So that's why I'm like, people in the chat is saying, oh, we have an agenda. No, we're just having our free space to speak our mind unfiltered.
Yep. And that's what it's all about right here, man. That's what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
We have to have these conversations.
Exactly.
We have to learn to understand each other and know what's going on. And I mean, I think that most white people have a good impression of black people. That they like black people. They bring joy and happiness in their life. They're our neighbors. They're our friends. They're the people that we're around day in and day out. And that's when we see all this divisiveness and all this stuff in the media and out there in the society. We get anxious about it and we get angry about it. We want to do something about it. We just don't know where to do it. And I've come to the understanding and within myself that the only way we're going to end racism and division is with the help and probably the leadership of the black community. Like as whites, we need to lean on black community to help us solve this problem.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. White folks are expecting black people to solve a problem that's actually integral to white culture. You don't need us to tell you to talk amongst each other and tell each other to not engage in racist behaviorisms. That's a conversation that you all need to have amongst each other. But for whatever reason, it seems like the overwhelming response that we keep getting from these conversations is, well, if we had the help from you black folks, you didn't need help collectively to install this system, but now you want our help to help you dismantle it? And we've never been in control to sustain it or keep maintenance of this system, but somehow our help is supposed to help you dismantle it? No, that's your job.
I understand what you're saying, and I get that part. This is what I'm saying, that in order to actually bust and break the perpetual racist system that's going on and through culture, we need black folks to stand up and say enough. because they're using the black community in order to perpetuate this.
But what happens when we say enough? What happens?
Then you disempower the white people.
No. Honestly, what happens when we say enough? Because black folks have been saying enough for centuries. That's where these rebellions came from. That's where the entire civil rights movement came from. Black folks have been saying enough.
You get hanged.
You get lynched.
You get.
But it's usually coming from their own community, right?
Really?
No.
That's what you want to say?
Wait, hold up. Wait, hold up. I want to give you the opportunity to think about what you just said, and also give you the opportunity to retract that.
When they call people Uncle Toms, right? When they go that route and they say, like, the way they treat Thomas Sowell, the way they treat other people that are trying to stand up and say, let's enough of this stuff.
You say Thomas? You talking about Thomas Sotomayor?
No, Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell.
Okay.
Yeah, Thomas Sowell. The person this whole show was started in honor of. Okay. Yeah. No, when like and Gary said this to me too. That people in the black community look down on him. They call him Uncle Tom. They call him all these names. That's what I'm talking about. Is like when someone actually does try to stand up for peace and harmony between the races, that they're attacked by their own. And hey, we get attacked by our own too. I get it. But I'm just trying to.
They're not attacked because they're for peace and harmony. It's the way that they say it, and it's the other things that go along with that conversation.
Like, for example,
put it like this. Okay, go ahead.
For example, Thomas Sowell was talking about what is it, George Washington Carver, right? And saying that he was raised by white people, right? And he was very educated, had a very high IQ. But what he did not say is that they cut his dick off.
Yeah.
He did not mention that. So it's like, why didn't you mention that part? You said the good stuff about whites, but you didn't say why he had such a passion for what he did. He got his dick cut off.
Literally,
okay? They cut off his dick.
They cut off his dick.
But you completely missed that part. You talk about how whites raised him and he was educated and all of this stuff, but they don't say that part. So this is the reason why they'll call somebody like Thomas Sowell and Uncle Tom, because of like, why didn't you say that part? Why you completely missing that part of the history?
Or why are you contributing to the bestowing the benefit of the doubt when, if anything, that would be an example of why doubt should exist. That there should be no benefit of the doubt because it's unearned in that moment.
I'll give you another example. We are like how you say, Officer Tatum is doing great things, whatever, but he's considered an Uncle Tom. The reason why he's considered an Uncle Tom is because when a black person do something wrong, he will take them to the shed. He will talk down on them and the whole nine. But if a white person turn around and do the same exact thing that the black person did, he's looking for reasons to like why it happened. Maybe he had, some mental health issues, this, that, and the third. Like he'll paint it in such a delicate way to make it seem like, well, damn, we might as well.
We can understand why he did what he did.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
If I was in this position, I'd do the same thing too, wouldn't you? So it's this process of humanization.
Look, notice what happened to me. Right, I stopped talking about Trump, and all of a sudden, I'm a bad guy. There was people coming over saying you used to be able to trust this channel. I'm like, I stopped talking about Trump because I realized that talking about politics is full of shit. It's worthless. It's a waste of your damn time. You can't fix this shit. I stopped talking about it for that reason. But these people who claim to, America and this, that, and the third, they was coming at me. They was coming at my neck, dog. Coming at my neck. And these are white people doing this shit. It wasn't blacks, it was whites.
And you lost hella subscribers too, off of that also. So yeah.
Because it's all about freedom until you start exercising some of it, and then it's a problem.
Exactly. As soon as I start talking about Dr. Claude Anderson. Oh, Dr. Fraud Anderson. I'm like, the motherfucker is renowned for what he's done. He's a fraud to you? No problem. No problem. You can't talk about this type of shit around certain people. And it's just what it is. You know, I mean, according to a lot of people in the chat, 360 is a fucking racist.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is your chat saying this shit.
Wow.
Yep.
If I were a racist, then I wouldn't even entertain a conversation about joining black folks and white folks to begin with. I would actually advocate for segregation, but I have not done that. I would not have agreed with our host about the need to address the exploitation of the masses by the global elite. I would never have conceded that point. See, this is where people, this is exactly what I mean. That's part of the housekeeping that the white community needs to do, because the white community needs to police those individuals right there who listen to respond, who don't want to put any skin in the game, who are still completely and totally apathetic, whether it be apathy to whatever privilege they may have, whether they fully engage in it, whether they're fully aware of it or not. But the simple fact that we're saying, hey, you live a privileged life, whether you take advantage of this privilege or not, but they still want to dismiss it. Those people are the ones who need to have that conversation with. And when I remember what I said, I'm going 360. The first thing I said was the expectation, if white folks want to do their part to contribute to this overall collective hand-holding endeavor, the first thing they have to do is not participate in racist ideology and actions. Because as long as you're not doing that, well, hey, at least you're not part of the problem. And then if you're not a racist and you're marrying somebody who's also not racist, well, guess what? You're going to produce some non-racist kids who will hopefully follow in your footsteps and continue that progression of eliminating racist ideology and racist behavior from their lives. And that's the core of what white folks need to do. Second, and step two is those people that I just mentioned who've actively done the work to be better, to be different from those of the past. They form communities. They form organizations. It's so crazy that after all these decades, we can still point to the KKK. We can still point to various white supremacist organizations, but we don't have too many predominantly white organizations geared for the eradication of racism and racist institutions. We don't have that group. And the question white folks need to ask themselves, if we have all these white supremacist groups, why don't we have the counter to that, which would be racial equality groups? Why don't we have more of those?
Not to mention, if you are even associated of being a Black Panther, you'll get arrested on sight. You'll get arrested.
I think to answer your question, 360, is because we need to have more interactions like this you said some great things there, and I can see that you've thought about it and you've got some solutions in mind, right? But explaining those solutions to white folks is going to take patience, and it's going to take a lot of repetition in that to help us understand what you mean. You say the idea of white privilege, right? A lot of this, you say you have a perception of that. A lot of us don't have a perception of that because we have struggles, right? So that's what we go to. But you're going to have a different perspective on that, and we're going to need to understand your perspective on that, so we can meet you somewhere in the middle. At least try to gather what you mean by that. That's going to be. You got to understand. We've been institutionalized too.
Yes,
right? And there's a lot of institutionalization, deprogramming that we need to all go through together, and we need to meet in the middle on a lot of things, right? But there's a lot of understanding and having concern for the other person that needs to be involved in that. And there's not a lot of folks out there that are willing to take the time, have the patience to do it.
Well, it's hard because white folks always equate that privilege to money itself.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, I understand you gotta speak to you gotta have these conversations amongst blacks and whites, and you gotta keep hammering it to whites or whatever. But what it comes down to is, like, for instance, when I said the housing market thing, if I was to pull up this information to my white counterpart, are you gonna read the information and consider it fake news to debunk it, or are you gonna look at it and realize this actually happened and accept it for what it is? See, that's where the big difference comes in, because it's like, if I'm just throwing this insurmountable proof on you, and you're like, I still need more proof, I still need more proof, that's where it's like, all right, I wash my hands with the situation, because you don't want to accept it. No matter what I keep presenting to you, you don't want to accept it, to kind of like hide or keep yourself, like, distance yourself from the reality. And I think that's where that's pretty much where the disconnect is.
It's just like with these, the attitude that we'd rather know the truth than be right. So if it's
just like these shootings.
Information, we should vet information together and then come to that truthful conclusion together, and then we're both on the same page. Well, you know.
Look, it goes back to earlier when you mentioned BLM and the whole your aversion to the whole hands up, don't shoot part. Well, even that was born out of the same type of apathy or defensiveness that we kept receiving from white folks. If you could look, not to go too far back, I'll just bring it back to Rodney King. Had it not been for video evidence, Rodney King just would have had a whooped ass, and that just would have been the end of the story.
But see, here's
hold on. The narrative has always been, well, when we black folks say this is our experience, and the first responses that we get is, well, where's the evidence? We did, maybe if we heard it, but then we started getting phone calls, taping phone calls, taping conversations. Then it turned into, well, for all we know, this could have been manufactured conversation, cut and splice. Maybe if we had video. So then sometimes we had video evidence but no audio. Then the response is, well, we couldn't hear what was being said. So then we started having video and audio together. Well, then it became, well, that's the video and audio from one perspective, but we can't see the other side. Then you start getting multiple camera angles and video and audio, and even that is still challenged in this day and time. So it seems like there's never enough.
Both sides need to always be challenging information and making sure that it's pure. Because look at Jesse Smollett, look at all these other things that go on in this world where people are trying to fake racist attacks, right? So that's again, it's the divisiveness of the elitist attitude, the elite working on us both. And that's kind of the point that I always come back to, is that they're always trying to get us at each other's throats instead of trying to let us come together,
That's why the change has to be on an individual basis first.
But here's the thing. Can we really say that, though? Because case in point, right? It don't take much for people to start looking at it. Didn't take much for people to look at BLM as all black people, like the spokesperson for black people, and black people are looting and doing all this stuff. It didn't take much for that. But yet, when there was video evidence saying that, you do have black people who are protecting these stores, this, that, and the third, people didn't want that. People didn't want that proof. They just wanted the proof of the looting. So it's like, are you cherry picking what you want to believe? Because when it's on the side of showing painting our white counterparts in a bad light, or that they're indirectly tapping into white privilege, they want insurmountable proof. But when it's on the other end, crime in the hood or whatever, this, that, and the third, all they need is one source for this, and for them it's gospel.
I get it goes back to the media. I think that you're nailing it, but I think it goes back to the media.
The media he's making a distinction between the effect of the media, or at least how the media presents the information, versus how individuals are interpreting and receiving that information. Because
Yes.
just because you get told a lie doesn't mean that you have to readily accept it. You can challenge it. The problem is there's not much challenge when it comes to this negative rhetoric or negative propaganda. There's not much challenge, but from the individual. If anything, it seems more of a readiness to be accepting of that bias.
Put it like this.
Or confirmation bias, if you will, as opposed to even questioning it.
Put it like this, right? 360. If I said like this, right? Yo, the people in Antifa, I read numerous articles that said, yo, the people in Antifa or the people that were looting were white people in black suits or whatever, right? And you turned around and was like, hold up, but I did read an article that said, nah, there were black people partaking. Just you saying that, even if I pulled up mad
it makes the difference.
But you just say, nah, I saw black people. If people have it in their mind that black people were looting, all it takes is your one sentence of saying, nah, I read, without pulling no proof, and people are gonna eat it up. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to your belief, you want insurmountable proof. But when it's something that fits into your belief, you don't need insurmountable proof. All you need is one source, and it's not fake news.
Confirmation bias.
Very rarely these days in the base community, which is where I exist here, right? Does the word BLM not immediately follow with Antifa? Antifa is a white group, right? And the LGBTQ for the most part is a white group.
As far as I'm concerned, both groups are white groups.
Yeah, I mean that we consider them all one thing. Of course, Therese Cullors is the leader of BLM. All right, and so I mean, even though the money comes from George Soros for all this shit, some
exactly.
Yeah, because all she did was use that money towards her community, the LG.
Because she used it for her own house.
And the community, because she's part of the community.
Nobody got in BLM. No black community got that money. Like they kept it all for themselves, man.
Black people denounce BLM, the organization. Period. Like black people denounce.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
Especially after the whole real estate scam they were doing.
Yeah, of course. And you know what's sad? They probably gonna get away with it scot-free because they had their ducks in a row. That's the sad part.
Because they got protection from the elitists. That's privilege right there. See, that's the privilege that we think of, at least as a white person, I'll say that I think of, right? Is that I'm sorry if I'm walking away from my mic. Is that privilege, right? But the day in, day out, the whole idea of privilege kind of goes over our heads. And so
because it's always equated with economics. And that's the problem.
That's what we think of.
And because it's always being equated to economics by white people, that's how they either miss or just become tone deaf to all the other instances that are non-monetary, but can also lead to being monetary along the way. They just miss all those other instances of indulging in privilege along the way.
Well, we need to have more conversations about that so we understand, because you already understand that we're going to immediately default to the economic side of it, right? Because when we think of privilege, we think of the elitist, the wealthy elite. We think of them, right?
But this country has always had rich and poor white folks. We've always had both. And to a certain extent, we had a white middle class. This country has always had that. And we probably always will have those different class groups based off of economics. But the one thing that's been singularly true about all three groups is they all have access to a certain type of privilege that no other race in this country has. White folks get the benefit of the doubt. Other races in this country just do not. The only benefit of the doubt that we get is negative benefit of the doubt.
What'd you say, Winning?
I said I'm going to take notes on this because I need to understand what he's talking about here. So white privilege in your eyes is the benefit of the doubt. That's a new thing for me.
That's part of it, yes.
Okay, benefit of the doubt. Got you.
For example, this is why affirmative action even came into place. Because you may very well have a black man and a white man going up for the same exact occupation. But because one is white, he may get the benefit of the doubt of being a better contributor to that particular company or whatever, simply because he looks like everybody else that's working there. That's exactly why, like I said, that's why affirmative action was necessary, to break down that barrier, to at least open up the possibility and opportunity for other people who may be just as qualified, if not possibly even more qualified, but just were denied opportunity simply because of the color of their skin.
That's why for the longest it was a running joke in the black community where it's like, yo, if you're gonna have a clique or something, make sure you have that one white friend so when the police come, you have somebody that could talk to them.
Exactly. Exactly. Because if you didn't have that white friend, there was no benefit of the doubt. All it took was for one dude to just get out of turn, and next thing you know, everybody's getting locked up for some bullshit. Meanwhile, Brad or Chad over here, he could be like, what you called us? What you pulled us over for, officer? We weren't doing anything.
I got you one.
It's a completely different experience.
I got you one. When I was a minor, me and my boy, he owned a BB gun. We put rabbit pellets in it, right? So we went to the local park and was shooting people with the BB gun with the rabbit pellets. So when one of the boys that we shot, when he went home, whatever, he went to his mother and she was like, "How was your day?" He was like, "Yeah, we was at the park and we got shot with a BB gun." So she thought like, it was actual pellets and we was trying to, take her kid out, whatever. So they called the cops, tracked us down, whatever. Long story short, they wound up seeing the BB gun, held us till the cops came. The cops came. Remind you, he was the owner of the BB gun. We both did the shooting. At the end of the day, I wound up getting put on probation and having to do community service and do like a Saturday intervention program for like a month, and he got nothing. He got nothing.
What a rabbit.
I just want to say, Walls, I just want to say this.
Yeah.
You was a destructive ass kid, bro. Why the hell are you shooting people?
I was.
Wow.
Because it was fun. Because it was fun.
It was fun? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and get my BB gun and start shooting your ass.
As a kid, man, you think the most malicious games were fun. Like,
look. While we're on a good note, I do want to address one comment from Crusade Electronics. This person says, blacks just can't accept their own weaknesses, so they make excuses. No, sir. If that was the case, I would not have made a distinction between the things that white folks need to do within their community to make things better versus the things that black people need to do on their own. But maybe had you been an active listener instead of just another racist hiding behind a keyboard, you might have actually picked that up.
On that note, gentlemen, I'm gonna call it a night. Y'all can continue the discussion, but I gotta be up. I gotta be up at 2:30 in the morning.
Thing today.
Yeah. So we can do a part 2 next week. If
let's do it. Let's keep the conversation going if you guys are willing.
Yeah.
I'd like to keep the conversation going. So I think we're making ground here. It may not seem that way to the crowd, but I feel like we are, and we're getting closer to understanding each other.
You know what it is? The crowd think we're at each other's throat, and that's really not what's going on here.
No.
That's really not what's going on here. So I think that's how they're perceiving it. But
they're not used to hearing men engage each other.
Yes.
See, they've gotten so accustomed to the voices of Justin Bieber and Justin Timberlake and Trey Songz and Bobby Valentino. They got so used to hearing all these soft ass voices that now when they hear masculine voices, they don't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I really do believe that we lost the masculine energy in this country because there's no freaking way that you have so many. I'm freaking shocked to read the things that I was reading in this. I mean, I'm not going to be on. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm gonna take a note on what Shelly said to me, and I'm not going to argue with the chat, and I'm gonna respectfully bow out. But the things that I was reading, god damn, for real.
Yeah. Let me
Wow.
Go ahead. Let me just answer. Let me just answer Crown Target's question, because he said the kid that owned the gun told his mom. No, my buddy. He owned the gun. When we went to the park and was shooting the some of our buddies with the BB gun, the one kid that we shot, he went home, and when his mother asked him how was his day, he told her that, you know, I got shot with a BB gun or whatever. And that was when she came out the house, like her and her husband, hunting us down. And when they came hunting us down, we was actually walking to my other boy's house to go shoot them up.
And with good reason, yeah, crazy ass. Like, seriously, what did you expect was going to happen? You walking around shooting people with damn BB guns, bro. What's wrong with you?
Yo, it seemed fun. I never had a BB gun before. Never. So this
you
was
shoot
like,
people? No, you shoot rabbits. You know what I'm saying? You know, cats. You know what I mean? You don't go shooting people.
Cats. Look, Gary, don't get yourself in trouble with Peter now.
I know, right?
Look, for all those out there, there were no animals harmed in the filming of this this podcast.
We gotta put that disclaimer out, ain't it?
See, I'm kind of mad. I'm kind of mad Gary heard this in the stream, because I'm never gonna live it down. I feel like a BB gun reference will always come up.
Hey man, listen.
Hey, it is Christmas time is right around the corner.
I know, right?
Red Ryder BB gun. There you go.
I will be in New Jersey soon, Wally, and a BB gun is in your future.
All right, everybody. Hey,
you know what I'm gonna say to you? It was fun shooting you. It was fun. I had a great time.
Either that or you'll shoot your eye out.
Oh, stop. I love that. I love that. That's my favorite.
I know, right?
Man, I have to admit, my favorite scene is when Santa just puts his foot in that kid's face. Merry Christmas, kid.
And push them down the slide. Yeah.
Oh, and look, and when the dad got the lamp, oh God.
Oh my.
Oh yeah. It's a major reward.
This wife, boy, to this day, I look at that damn thing. Oh,
yeah.
She was so ready for that. The only
sex.
thing that man won in his entire life, she broke it.
Yeah. Oh, he was crushed too, man.
And then try to play it off like a mistake. She knew.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah.
All right, man. Part 2 next week, guys. We're on. We got a date, right? Let's do it.
Yeah, we got it. We in there.
Okay. Cool, Brian. Well, thank you guys so much for being here tonight and having such a great conversation, man. We're gonna keep it going next week to everybody out there.
Definitely,
thank you so. And I'll have an intro for you next week. 360 Smooth. Now I know you better.
Cool.
That's for you. Well, you're get the same one again because I like that one.
Definitely.
Gary, your name's on the show. You get the intros.
I know,
week.
right? For real.
All right, man.
Good night,
hey,
everybody.
man. Thank you guys so much for being here. And thank you guys so much again. Hey guys, I'll be back tomorrow night, or I'll be back on Saturday night for our Halloween show, Winning Saturday Night, 9 p.m. Come as you aren't. Hope you guys will be there. Gary, you're invited, man. You better show up. All right, guys. You know what we say. Until next time, keep on winning.
It's time to take a stand and prepare our history. Thomas Sowell has shown us the way. It's time to start winning reality. We've been divided for far too long. It's time to come together and be strong. We can learn from our mistakes and make a brighter future for everyone. We have the power to make a change. All it takes is courage and faith. So let's stand up for what's right and make history together.
This is a friendship that